Hangout podcast where three bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condor with a Kate, and I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
Mr. Andy Conduit Turner. Hello.
Interesting.
There he is.
And
I had to wait for that. It's Mr. Ben Errington again.
How's it going?
How is it going? It's going all right. How are you?
Oh, good, thank you. Another week.
Yeah.
Another week, another horror movie.
Yeah.
Is this a horror movie?
I wasn't sure for the first hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah. I know what you mean. We'll get to that. What's going on? What's everyone been up to?
What has everyone been up to? I don't know. This week has flown by. This is the shortest. It feels like the shortest amount of time between episodes ever. It feels like no sooner have I uttered the last word on last week's recording that this week's recording has begun. The sands of time falling through my fingertips as we speak.
It's the end of the year magic, isn't it? The last couple of weeks just fly by. But
how's it November? How's it November? That's what everyone will say. How's it November? Can't believe it. And I'll go, no, I know, but it is a bit chilly now, isn't it? It feels.
It's got a bit chilly. It's the nights are drawing in. Clocks are gone back. What a time!
How do you?
Awful. Just like like as soon as you finish work, it's like pitch black outside.
Oh yeah.
Before. Finish work that dark. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I used to get depressed by that, but now I kind of like it because I like retreating to my nest.
Into the shadows.
Retreating into the shadows with like a cup of tea and some warm socks. And just I find it a lot cozier. But I think I've explained before, I don't cope well in the heat. So like I like to go back into the shadows because in the heat, I feel like I'm operating at about 65% of my potential.
Full power in the cold. Do all my best work in the cold and dark.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't say full power. You never want to fully go to full power because you never know when you're going to need to, I don't know, lift a car off of a child. We've discussed that before, haven't we?
We have. I think once or twice.
You never know. So I reckon operate around about 85%. You know, people say I put under 10% into that. Of course, that's impossible. But
fuck off, Louis Walsh. Don't use percentages more than 100 unless it's a comparative. Get out.
But also, 100% is a lot. That's like expending everything you got in order to do something. I'm like,
that's losing your control your bowel sort of power.
voiding your bowels. Have you voided your bowels in airplane?
No, I get 100%.
100%. But I reckon like 85's got to be like the
I
top
100% at
level.
A school test once.
Yeah, cleared the hall. What's going on in there? Don't ask.
He's gone and given 100% on that test.
All over the table.
Yeah.
All over the table. Somebody call the police, the ambulance, and the fire brigade. Because
Luke, a great strategy though. Because surely that test was a write-off. You're gonna have to do that again.
Yeah.
They're not gonna say, "Oh, your mark's gonna stand from that time you shat yourself."
The SH80s.
Yeah.
To be fair though, if you were gonna shit yourself, that's the worst time and place to do it. Surely.
Yeah. What would you do? Would you make excuses? Would you?
I think
get the invigilator. The invigilator sinistrable on the air.
I don't know. It's the best strategy just to then collapse on your desk and pretend you're really seriously ill.
Yeah.
The thing is, there was almost like a bear was going to attack you, shit yourself, and then just play dead.
Yeah, I think just fall off your chair and lie very still.
Maybe go this.
Grip your chest.
But then, like a teacher would come and give you the Heimlich maneuver and maybe break a rib.
No, you've got to make sure it doesn't like choking because you can't be eating an exam. So you've got to as you fall over.
He's having an heart attack.
Proclaim
Quick,
it's a heart
maneuver.
attack. Yeah.
This is an heart attack. This is an heart attack. Yeah, because there was always those teachers roaming up and down, like in the tests, weren't they? Sort of keeping an eye on you, making sure you haven't got any notes written on the underside of your
pencil case.
Invigilators. I always thought they sounded like villains. Like
that's what you said. When you said that just now, I kind of just nodded and laughed. But that's what you meant. I was like,
Yeah.
And that Invisalign, the thing that keeps your teeth straight or whatever.
The Inquisitors that go around.
Yeah.
Conquistadors. Bit confusing.
Conquistadors go around your exam hall, making sure you don't cheat or
There was
somehow
all.
have like the answers to like an English literature like essay-based exam written on your pencil case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of them like used to go, "You're right. Don't understand the question. Think of it like this," and they try and like it was almost like they're not trying to help you, but it was weird, wasn't it?
Cheating. I don't think I ever got that from an invigilator. I'm pretty sure they always walked like like the red guards from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Or doing like the Wizard of Oz. They're just marching up and down the corridor.
You sneeze into a tissue and they go, "Give me that! What's in there?"
Gotta put your hand up if you want to go to the toilet.
Yeah. Oh, embarrassing. That's embarrassing in any situation, having to go. Can I please? I couldn't go before. I'm embarrassing. I'm a human. Wearing a meat suit and I need a piss. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Real life horror exams, stressful times. Do they exist anymore in the same way?
Exams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
now with
haven't
COVID,
done one
like,
for a
do you
while.
just go in like an isolation tank and do
they're
your
all done on
exams?
Google Forms now.
Marks it for you.
They're all done in VR, mate. There's VR and vigil. How'd you say it? Invigilated. What am I saying?
Invigilator.
That's actually true, though.
They're all walking around in VR.
No, Karen had to do an exam.
Oh shit!
Like, yeah,
In the metaverse?
like for this one, not quite in the metaverse, but she had to do it, and it was online, so she had to do it on thingy. But she had to be like in view of her camera with the sound switched on the whole time.
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to mute it. You've got to have the sound on. You've got to have, so I literally had to, and like you're not allowed to have any distractions or anything like that. So like, but how can you control like if the doorbell goes and your dog's bark over? So like for the exam, I just put the dogs and we just went out for a walk for like the 2 hours of this exam. But like it's got to be tough.
Was it closed book? I'm guessing then.
Yeah, like literally that you had to have it in a certain way, and there was a session before the exam where they examined like your setup and said, okay, that's fine. You can't have anything any different. You can't have it in a different room. Like you can't have anyone. You've got to have your sound on. You've got to be able to be seen the whole time.
Wow.
So I guess for those, you can't even go to the toilet because you can't walk yourself unless you take the camera in with you.
What you could
bottle down there at the table.
What you could do is like Keanu Reeves in Speed when he looped a little bit of video so that Dennis Hopper couldn't realize that they were no longer even in the bus.
That bloody idiot hadn't put a handbag down.
Yeah. Just like a little.
Watching it to this day.
He won't even go over bloody. We're not going to run out of petrol soon, are they, bloody idiots? Yeah.
Bloody hell, the fumes last longer than you think. Just watching.
Ben, I think sorry to pause, but your volume is a little too high. I think.
Oh.
Is that right for you, Andy, as well?
Yeah, you've got a little bit of.
When Jim Carrey like does like electric guitar noises, he like puts the mic in his mouth.
Really as bad as that? Any better?
Still, I think so. Yeah,
a little bit. That's weird. Usually it's the other way around. I'm way too quiet.
Am I too loud? Am I too quiet?
No, just right.
You're
just right. If this was Goldilocks and the Three Bears, you'd be
You are Baby Bear's porridge.
Baby Bear's porridge. What about me now? Does this sound alright?
Yeah, you're coming in like firmly, Mummy Bear
levels. I'll be a bit. I'll come a bit behind as well. Give it a bit of breathing room. Maybe I'm being a bit too full on with my mouth.
Too heavy on the mic.
Too heavy on the microphone. Yeah. What?
Go on. Okay, good to go.
I guess some horror news, but to be fair, few and far between. There's a lot of like, this film's coming out at some point. I saw that there was Stranger Things Day the other day, and there's another teaser trailer for Stranger Things season 4, which is coming. And this was a shock to me. It's arriving summer 2022. I was like, Stranger Things season 4. I was like, surely I thought it was like, I don't know, this year, this month.
I think it was meant to be this year, wasn't it? Originally, kids will be in their 30s.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's out of nowhere that actually came out way quicker than I thought. Dexter has started up again. think the first episode came out yesterday or today.
Hmm.
Are you
Did you?
excited? Also, no, I've not seen it. Also, it's made by the guy who directed the first 4 seasons of the show, and they're the good ones. So,
okay, promising.
Quite promising.
It's like Dexter, always pissed off with his sister though, coming into that lab, messing up his experiments.
Always possessed. Yeah.
I never really watched much of it. Was he a good guy?
Well, he was a functional psychopath in a way. So his whole thing was he had to kill. He had a need to kill, but he had like a rule that he set himself where he could only kill bad people.
Only kills wrong'uns.
Only kills wrong'uns. I've killed him. Oh, it turns out he did a lot for charity. Oh,
I think it was pre Prestige TV, if that makes sense. So it was like before Breaking Bad and stuff, before things got really good. But I think the tone that they had on Dexter was really good. I think it was, and then it was quite charming and dark and fun.
I've seen the first episode, and I've seen the parody of Surprise Motherfucker. That's all I need.
Yeah, that's all you need. Yeah.
Supplies, motherfucker. Some fries, motherfucker. Yeah, there's that. And the only other things that I've really seen is that there's 2 like new releases this week. One which I think you've seen, Luke. So Antlers is finally out in theaters. I missed it, and I was going to go and try and watch it this week. It's not showing bloody anywhere now. It was a blink and you bloody miss it scenario. Very disappointing. So don't know how I'm going to be able to watch that. But yeah, this was obviously one of the films that was pretty much supposed to arrive like as soon as COVID hit, right? And then it just got delayed. I think it was one of the first one of the first batch at least of films that got delayed. So yeah, interested to see what you think about that in a sec.
Yeah.
And the other film, there's a movie called The Deep House, which has been released this week as well. Don't know if you guys have heard much about this.
Hey,
is that the Exorcism one? Or is that...
It's an underwater haunted house movie, yeah. So yeah, I'm going to probably try and check that out this week. I think it's been getting some fairly positive reviews, and it's quite an interesting concept as well.
Fairly positive. Could be pretty great for a horror movie. So
fairly positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, when mixed reception is like the height of we'll give it an Oscar.
Yeah. Underwater is scary. Like when they're having a look around the Titanic in the Titanic movie, doesn't something happen where some like a fish or something goes in front of the screen and everyone goes, "Whoa!"
It's a big old fish. I mean, put it this way, put it to real life. Would you like your house to be underwater, Ben? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Be no good.
No. You get wrinkly fingers like when you've been in the bath for too long.
Yeah. Any place worse for your house to suddenly be is like, I don't know, space. That would be the worst place.
Yeah.
If you got Zathorid.
In that underwater bit, is there killer icebergs in the water?
Oh yeah, that would be scary. No, not because of climate change. Icebergs have just got extinct now. Titanic won't happen these days, you know.
Please save the icebergs. I want to watch that. I think underwater haunted house sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna give it a whirl. But yeah, apart from that, it seemed like horror news is. I guess it's the post-Halloween slump where everyone's a bit like, "Hang on a minute, we've all had enough of this. Why turn it in? Why stop it? Take your pumpkins in." Has everybody got rid of their pumpkins in a nice, safe manner? Or there's been take them out to the woodland, let a deer have a go on one.
Well, the woods around here are packed with pumpkins. Yeah.
Yeah.
The deers have a go on them. I don't know.
That's what I heard that, and I think it's the first year I kind of heard that. Take your pumpkin out and let the wildlife have a go on it, and it's a great idea. Yeah.
Put them out in the garden, let the squirrels have a go, and then when they start to
have a go,
scrape what's left.
Have a little nibble. Have a little nibble. Get in and around it. It's fun. It's food, but it's also like a bit of an adventure. Climb in, jump in through the eye hole, out through the mouth hole.
If there's a Cinderella about, she might magic it into a carriage.
Yeah.
It's plus, the time of year for balls. There's going to be balls left, right, and centre.
Balls? Are we talking about Manscaped again?
No, they still haven't come through that sponsorship deal, so I'm not talking about them.
Oh yeah, sorry. Other ball trimmers are available from dozens and dozens of companies.
Balltrimmers.com.
JML probably got one.
Yeah, that's true. Ball trimmers. The podcasting world must be ever so smooth, because it seems like every podcast you listen to has got one of those ads on it. I'm just jealous.
You got that. You got your meals coming in like a pre-delivery box there. Everyone's got an Audible subscription.
Oh yeah. I do hate that advert though, talking about the meals, because they try and say to you, "Oh, it's much more convenient." I'm like, no, it's not. They act like you. They go, "Oh, you only get what you use." So it's like, yeah, but if you use a little bit of nutmeg or something, you don't go, "I'll sling the rest of it away." You save it, keep it in your cupboard, use it for dozens of meals. Not into that.
We get one every so often as a little treat, and then you keep the recipes. So like you've been inspired for a new recipe.
Oh yeah.
And then
I see.
Recipes are good as well on some of them. There's like a chicken sauce one. Can't remember what it is, but it's one of the best meals I've ever had.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You can kind of pretend it's all down to you as well, even though what you're doing essentially is just.
Well, I don't I get the cat to do that stuff. I wait in the living room. I wash the pots.
Just like banging
on
the table like Henry VIII.
I wash the pots. See, I wash the pots, and I feel like the washing the pots is definitely the worst job.
I prefer it to cooking. I don't like cooking. It's too much. There's too much pressure and too much. I don't know, like washing, waiting around for stuff to go different colours. And
I tell you what, I'm no good.
Dinner's ruined.
Yeah, I'm no good at getting things to arrive at the same time. Like everything to finish at the same time. I'm no good with that. That baffles me. That's like trying to build a time machine or something. I'm like, what the fuck?
Not a bad cook.
Is this the bad
when it comes to the washing?
That's a quirk.
Oh yeah, the quirky oven. That's a quirk oven.
When it comes to the washing, though, there is no greater amount of bullshit than washing a pan that you either had porridge or scrambled eggs in. The worst.
Just throw it away. Throw away. Have you ever thrown anything away? Well, I had a friend who worked in a pub, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I got to do the pots and all that. I got to wash all the pots." He goes, "I ate it, and sometimes plates are so dirty, I just smash them." I'm like, how dirty can the plate be? So you just take it outside and smash it on the street, and just go like he's at a Cypriot wedding or something.
Whenever I've cooked Greek food.
Hey, smash the plate. Yeah. So, has anybody? Well, we've already mentioned it, but has anybody seen anything of note?
I've been catching up on a few bits, but you go first, Luke.
I'll just quickly mention Antlers because we brought it up already. Antlers is a film. It was written by Nick Antosca, based on a short story by him called The Quiet Boy. He's the guy behind the Channel Zero TV show. So there's a bit of that. It's about a boy who lives with his drug addicted dad and his younger brother in like a small mining town, and it's like old coal mines, and then they're going to reopen them at some point. But right at the start, the dad gets attacked by something, and then we don't see the dad for a little while. And the boy seems to be like living on his own, but he's like finding dead things on the floor, and he's taking them back to the house. And there's like a door there that's locked, and he keeps throwing like the dead things in there and feeding whatever is locked behind the door. So that's like the big mystery of it. At the same time, one of the teachers takes an active interest in his life and starts to like, because she's like, oh, he's not eating anything. He's dirty. He's got poo all over his knees. We're going to follow him to his house. And then obviously like there's a whole thing with when the teacher finds out what's behind the door. It's also got Jesse Plemons in it, and he plays Jesse Plemons in the way that Jesse Plemons plays every character, and it's amazing. He's just very, very good at that dry authoritative cop. Do you ever see Game Night? He kind of plays the same kind of character in there.
Okay, I didn't see that there.
But I mean, it's a good film. It's good. I'd say it's not amazing. It's not going to blow your nipples off. It's just going to slightly tickle them.
I feel like
depends what kind of mood I'm in.
Suffered. Like, it feels just the last month or so has been really the sharp end of everything that was delayed because COVID, CC.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has really now come to a head because now they're about half. It's gone from the cinemas being closed, and then when they're open, there was a couple of things that were on. Like, go back a couple, like even like a month or so. Like, there was Shang-Chi that I wanted to go and see, and that was great. And there was like maybe one film at a time that was in, but then from James Bond onwards, still haven't been to see that, by the way. Like the floodgates have just opened, and then there's Antlers, Eternals is out,
Dune.
like James Bond, Dune, like the Green Knight eventually turned up. Like there's tons of stuff all at the same time, and I think, I don't know, it depends if you live in a big enough place that has a big enough cinema, but today's film, I think, has really suffered from it. Like the times that I could have seen this film were such bullshit, such absolutely inconvenient times. Like it's either weekdays during the working day, or I could have gone. No, there actually weren't any late night times. I went at like 11 in the morning on Sunday.
Oh God!
And for a time of year, which it is now, which 11 o'clock on a Sunday is one of the few times in the week when the sun is out, it's actually light and it's not dark outside. Like it'd be good to get those things that you need light to do done at that time.
It is a bit weird that the screening times are so weird for last night. So I had to go at 10:45 at night, which is way past my bedtime.
Oh wow, that's super late. What time did you get out?
I think 1:30. I got home about 2. It just, I don't know. I don't know why they're making it so hard to go and watch it. I feel like it should be it's a big film, right? It's a big British film. Edgar Wright, who's made only great films.
Yeah, that's a bit strange.
I guess it's just the strategy behind it all, right? Like you've got a certain amount of films, and I'm like they probably have done their maths on it. Like you're going to get more people through to see Bond or Dune or whatever else. They just have to give that to the evening shows.
Yeah, true. But I mean, we'll talk a bit more about last night in Soho in a sec. What else have you say you saw a few things?
Yeah, I've been doing some catching up on some rewatches and some catching up on some random bits and pieces. So I took a leaf out of Ben's book and I watched the first in the Resident Evil series yet again the other day. You know what? I'm going to say that I've actually feel a bit more kind to it again now. It went for a period of seeing it when I was very young and being like, oh, like this is the Resident Evil film, but now I think it's the best you could have done with Resident Evil without having to just do a carbon copy of the films, and to do something different was good. Mila Jovovich actually is she is very capable at doing what she does. I think she has some good action chops about it. I think the things that hold the Resident Evil movie back are a lot of technical stuff. It's camera work, it's the way that the lighting hits, and I think then it's just the dialogue. If you gave that some better lighting and a couple of really quotable one-liners, it's Aliens.
And also
it could be Aliens.
Mila Jovovich, pre-superhuman superhero character, Alice. So I mean, it works in some ways. I agree.
Yeah. It's all right. And then I watched a film called Countdown, which is not the TV show with letters and numbers. It's like Final Destination, but it's an app.
Dead.
Was this a Blumhouse?
Yes, it's a Blumhouse one.
I think I've seen that too.
It's got some Blum alums in there, and a couple of Final Destination folks in there as well, which was, it was
Blum alums.
Yeah, Blum alums. and it was
very good.
It was just fine. And then there is a third film I've seen, which I was about to say I've instantly forgotten, which is a mark of its quality, but I've remembered it. I saw Unfriended, The Dark Web. You know what? I take it back. It's actually pretty good.
I've heard The Dark Web is pretty good. I've not seen
it. The Dark Web one's good, yeah.
It's not a ghosties like it is on the first one. It's
Dark Web.
It's bad internet men.
Bad connection.
Internet men.
Yeah,
dial up.
If you've got to watch out if you're on there, because the bad internet men, they're amongst it and they'll get you.
Yeah.
It's all right though. It's all right though. I've got a lot of time, maybe more time than I should have, for those kind of screen-based movies. I found it since the first Unfriended. It's quite clever. I like it.
Yeah. I'll watch it at some point. I quite like the first one. I like all those kind of films.
Yeah. I think it's good. But yeah, those are the things that I watched, and then I'm also picking my way again through the Halloween series, so we can do our little ranking later on in the month.
I had to catch up. I might just have to watch some Top Kill YouTube videos.
Just watch what's it called? The every kill in the Halloween franchise videos ranked.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to skip H2O. I'm not skipping out on Ladies Love Cool James like that. But
So I know that Ben played a certain game. How did it feel to play one of the best games ever made?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun little puzzle platformer. Inside, right? We're talking about Inside. We're not talking about FIFA 18. Yeah, and like you guys said last week, a very interesting ending, unexpected ending, but yeah, I liked the way it went. Had fun with it.
This reminds me when I was trying to get Duncan, my friend, to play it for about 2 years. I was like bigging it up so much, and then when he played it, it was like, yeah, that's it was all right. And like I don't understand because when I played it, and I played it subsequently, it's like
I'll tell you what though, there is a sense of achievement when you get past certain parts where you're just like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? Like, oh my God. And then you work it out and then you're like, that's impossible. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to, I've done it. It was that sort of, like there were a few bits where I was just, it took me a while to.
What was your reaction to getting into the last section, Ben?
As soon as it kind of happened, I was like, right, okay, I see what's going on here. I mean, that's pretty gruesome and disgusting and weird, just weird, I guess. And a bit of a one of those endings, a very quiet, solemn ending as well, where you're like, oh, well, there we go.
Have you done the additional ending?
There's an additional ending?
You collect all the plug things, I think, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think I only found like maybe 3 of those plug things.
So you unplug all the plugs, and then it gives you, I think you can then get a code, and it's a sound code, and you go back to near the very start of the game, and you can do the code if you know it. You can put the code in there, and it takes you to a final plug. And if you unplug it, then the boy just goes all floppy and limp like the other sort of zombie people that you see. There's a metaphor in there about how you were having control of the thing. Yeah. So are you the force?
Yeah, I think there's a story. There is a kind of understanding where, like, maybe like who was controlling this guy all along? Did he have free will, or was he being controlled? But so I don't want to spoil it because people might go and want to play it. So,
but it's good.
Also, like
it's a good game.
The atmosphere and the tone. I just feel like it's. I don't know. I feel like it nails what it does so well.
I don't like. Obviously, it's a side scroll, not side scroller, but like a platformer where you can only go. What axis is that? The y-axis.
X and Y, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the amount of times I tried to just go a different way, like come towards the screen or away from it, was like literally probably every 4 or 5 minutes. So I was
have you played Little Nightmares? Because that is, it looks like it's that perspective, but you can go across the Z-axis.
I played Little Nightmares, and a completely different experience. I've gone back to Doom Eternal this week because there was an update. There was like a patch, update 6.66, obviously. And there's a few new game modes. One called Horde mode, which is oh my God, Unforgiven. I feel like I just go into a certain state, like in my brain, which I only go into when I play Doom Eternal, because I feel like I'm good at it. Like, and I'm not good at shooters, but for some reason, something happens where I just like snap into this. I don't know what it is. I'm just like,
you should be an e-sportist.
And Charlie's just like, your face when you're playing is like
the Doom guy face. It transforms.
Fucking hell, right.
You've got like bleeding eyes like that person at the end of VHS 93.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is tough. It is tough though. I completed the Ancient Gods, which is like a DLC, and I haven't started part 2 yet. But my God, it is just so difficult, so intense.
I started the DLC.
So intense.
And I was like, I'm having no fun. I need to because it's been months since I finished the campaign. So I was like, I've gone shit at this.
Yeah. Oh my god. The thing, it took me a while to. I took the difficulty all the way down to like, "Don't hurt me, mummy," or whatever it's called. Had a little bit of a practice, and then slowly bumped it up until I felt comfortable again. But yeah, it's so much. Yeah,
with hard games. I was thinking about Returnal. I really want to play that because it looks amazing and the soundtrack's amazing, and I love the whole vibe. But it looks really hard. I don't think I'll have a good time with it.
I picked it up on eBay and have put it on my shelf while while it gets cheaper elsewhere to not have time to play.
Yeah. Did I tell you I've been playing Last of Us 2?
You did. Okay. You did.
Still enjoying it?
Still enjoying it. Still apparently quite early on. I'm like 10 hours in. Okay. And it's really good. Really creepy at times. I love like going deeper into this post-apocalyptic Seattle and exploring these buildings. Some people have just started whistling at me. I think they're probably good guys. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I've started watching a playthrough of somebody play that, like for the first time, just so I can watch their reactions to certain moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty exciting stuff. Good film.
Is that everything? Just the film of the week, or
the film of the week? Oh, sorry.
The only other thing I've nearly finished Midnight Mass now. I think I've got 2 episodes left to go. Yeah, really good. A bit like, do you know how like it's preachy in a way where obviously it's supposed to be because of the subject matter and the fact
That's
that
what you get on as a priest about. So preachy, those guys.
It's ever so preachy, and that has got to a point now. I am definitely like, all right, we know. Wind it, turn it in just a bit. I mean, there are a lot of monologues, aren't they? Like a lot where people don't. Initially, it feels kind of right, and it's really well written.
Yeah.
But now it's getting to the point where I'm like, people don't talk like this. There are more pressing matters. People need to communicate in different ways. What's going on?
It feels like sometimes when you're writing stuff, you just write a lot to try and get into the flow and try and find something to talk about. But most of the times you delete like 90% of that and just keep the fun, like the fundamental idea of what they're trying to say.
It's all left in.
Mike's left it all in.
Like there's one bit where 2 characters just start talking about what they think death is, and I'm like,
everyone brings that up. Everyone brings
that. Was the one for me.
That's the one that gets everyone. Yeah.
Well, I'm like, okay, I understand, but at the same time, this is like a quarter of an episode. You know,
the episode does end well though, if it's the one I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I think that they do pay it off later on. It makes sense why it happens later.
Yeah.
But literally everything that happens in this, act of God. What's that? Act of God. What about that over there? Act of God. Oh,
I told you, I think it works. It works if they live in a reality where there is no vampire fiction.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't go into spoilers. I get we have done before, but maybe we can't rehash the spoilers.
No, don't do that.
We can't spoil it specifically for Ben. See, it's at the end.
Yeah. Don't spoil it specifically for
the
me.
listeners had it spoiled when Ben wasn't here the other week.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is it. Apart from the film of the week,
Last Night in Soho.
Last Night in Soho. Last Night in Soho is a 2021 British psychological horror film directed by Edgar Wright. Film stars Thomasin McKenzie, Anya Taylor-Joy, Matt Smith, Michael Ajao, Diana Rigg, Terence Stamp, some classics in there. An aspiring fashion designer is mysteriously able to enter the 1960s, where she accounts a dazzling wannabe singer. But the glamour is not all it appears to be, and the dreams of the past start to crack and splinter into something darker.
Yeah. So ratings for this one are fairly decent. IMDb is at 7.5 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is 75% critic score, 90% user score. Which I think might be on the lower end for Edgar Wright movies. Letterboxd is at 3.6. So again, I think maybe a bit lower for an Edgar Wright movie. One guy, Josh Lewis, said everything about this is. He actually had quite a long review, but I've just picked out the first couple of sentences because I think it's like what he's trying to say. Everything about how this has been self-consciously stylized makes it far too cute and polished to enter the ugly and surreal realm that a movie like this needs to get to. It feels like a little boy playing dress up Polanski, Argento. And I'm sorry if this is insensitive, but these movies had a certain kind of unsettlingly raw, dirty power to them that Last Night in Soho doesn't have. But then again, Tali Naruti said, every time I watch an Edgar Wright movie, I remember why I fell in love with movies. And Last Night in Soho gave me that feeling and more, 5 stars. And then Bev Ben put, damn you, Edgar Wright, half a star.
Oh,
so Bev Ben.
Bev
Interesting.
Ben. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, from the first review in particular, I mean, I see what you're talking about from a film perspective, but don't emulate Roman Polanski too much.
Well, it did go into that, and the comments are all saying that. But I understand what he's saying. Well, we'll get into that in the review side of it, I guess. But yeah,
it does seem to be garnering like a mixed bag, right? Like I think it's very polarizing. I saw our good friend Georgie was talking about it today on the Twitters, in fact, saying that the film seems to have been designed to cause a big rift between her and one of her friends because one of them loves it and the other one really hated it.
What did Georgie think?
I asked her, she confirmed that she loved it.
I think it's an amazing film. I mean, I feel like I'm predisposed to loving it because I worked in Soho for a bit, and I love seeing places. And the thing about when you're walking through Soho and anywhere in London, you do find yourself looking at the facades of buildings and thinking, "Oh wow, what would that been like in the '60s?" Or through Carnaby Street, and thinking how things have changed. And I think me and Ben, the first time we met in person, was in Soho for a
yeah.
Yeah,
in the
60s.
60s.
Years ago. In the 60s, yeah.
In the 60s, and we both had long, luxurious hair, styled like a teddy boy, styled like Matt Smith. Oh yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah,
we're in the background of some of those scenes if you look carefully.
Yeah. Also, in the backup dancers. Also, I am pretty special of Edgar Wright movies. He's probably one of my favorite directors. I just love everything that he does. And yet, for some reason, I wasn't blown away with this. I don't know. It felt a little bit clean, a little bit too polished.
I know what you mean. I think the last few movies of Edgar Wright have gradually got more and more polished, more and more clean, where it's almost like it loses that sort of Edgar Wright. I feel like I always describe things as having a flavor, but it loses a bit of that classic Edgar Wright flavor where I'm like, okay, I can watch a minute of this and I know it's Edgar Wright. But I think he started losing it with Scott Pilgrim because he's making a movie based on something that exists already, a comic.
I still feel like that's got it. It's got the visual gags though. I think it's maybe this isn't a comedy. This is a straight up thriller horror.
I think maybe it lost it just a tad, just a tiny bit for me at least, maybe 10, 15%. And then with Baby Driver, it felt like it was because it was US set and it had a big US cast. Again, it started feeling like it was losing it a bit. And then this one even more so, even though it's set in the UK.
It's weird because I know what you mean. And that's kind of maybe what's put me at arm's length a little bit with it. But I'm quite excited to see where Edgar Wright goes in the future. It feels like he's trying new things. He's exploring a bit more. What about you, Andy? How are you?
I think my feelings of Edgar Wright films have always been really strong. I do agree with you, Luke. I think that I am more in tune with his comedy things that he's done in particular. I think the thing is about it, not only has he changed, but I think we have changed over time as well. I think if you look back at some of his early stuff, like when he was doing, when he was working on Spaced and when he was working on Shaun of the Dead, I think is a great example. I would say when that came out, I was really into that film and I watched it multiple times. And then I was less into Hot Fuzz when it came out. Going back now and watching it, a decade and more later, Hot Fuzz is probably my favorite film he's done.
Exactly the same as me
that he's done. I didn't resonate as much with The World's End. I think I've only seen it the once. Maybe that's letting me down. Maybe if I go back and watch it, that's my favorite now. Another 10 years, maybe now more time has passed. But other stuff as well, I guess for the newer stuff, it hasn't had, especially when you're moving away from that comedy element, it doesn't necessarily have that cult factor or that rewatchability to it. I found Baby Driver a good movie. I enjoyed it. I sat through it, but I have no need to ever watch it again, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those that happens. And the thing that always gets me at Edgar Wright is he has a good command of music, and having real having the music and the soundtrack as a real story beat in his films as well. And I think that element in this film would mean I could pick it out as something that he had done, because it's used very deliberately here as well. We'll come into it when we go through. I enjoyed this film a lot, but I think there are elements of it where I wasn't sure what its identity was for a while. We said at the top, I think as we got through an hour in, I looked at my watch and okay, this has been going for an hour. I thought, have we fucked this? Have we announced that we're doing this on a horror podcast and it's not a horror movie? And then it quickly gets those horror elements that come in, but it's an awfully long time before that comes to life. And I don't know if that's a problem with it, if that's a pacing issue with it.
I will say also, I think that's when it kind of lost me a bit, when it went a bit more standard horror. A bit, I don't know. I just, when there's the zombie people.
Yeah, the ghoulie.
By the way, there's going to be spoilers in this.
Oh yeah, full spoilers for everyone.
There's like zombie people. I feel like that's like a bit of an Edgar Wright trope. That I was like, I don't know, that just isn't really working for me. It seems a little bit goofy.
Yeah.
But sorry, go on.
I do kind of like how they weren't straight up zombies, were they? They were kind of like these weird, blurry, not quite there, shouty blokes in pants and vest, which is pretty much what they were.
Yeah. I guess they weren't discussed. Like, it didn't seem to go far enough to be scary. I don't think I was ever scared in this film. I don't think it feels almost like a kid's horror movie in a weird way, even though I wouldn't recommend a kid to watch it because of the content. But
yeah,
in terms of like the ghouls and stuff, they look like kids' horror movie villains more than there to genuinely disgust or terrify someone.
Yeah, I think the ghoulies that you got in this that happen, you're right, it's the content and the context that gives it an adult spin. You would have the way they're visually represented, some of the ghosts. You could chuck those guys in an episode of Doctor Who, you'd be fine.
Exactly.
And the Doctor Who's on the bloody program. I'd forgotten about it. There he is.
But then on the other hand, if they were like super gory, gruesome ghosts, do you think that would have worked well?
Does that give away the story of it? Because as they appear, it's their presence as a nightmare before they're fully explained. You kind of need to see them as faded.
You know what I think it is? I think there's a disparity between the context of the film and it being set in Soho. Soho's meant to have like a really dirty, seedy side, and the horror should probably reflect that a little bit more. But the horror doesn't. The horror is quite tame, and it feels like maybe the horror should be almost unsettling in its seedy dirtiness, to sort of thematically tie together a bit more.
Thematically, Luke, without getting to the ending, which we'll come to in time, do you think it would have been more effective and horrific if it had been, if the victims and the perpetrators had been straightforward as it was set up to begin with? If it had been the really bad people were who you expected them to be and the victims are who you expected to be, would that have really hit that underground sort of seediness that you were thinking?
I guess despite that sort of fake out and that little flip reverse, the victims and are still kind of, it depends where you fall in that, because I was still like, well, regardless of what she's trying to do now as a character, again, not trying to spoil anything at this stage, it still kind of felt like that. It still felt like they were the bad people. I didn't feel so much that they were victims. It was almost like, oh, I see. You got it, did you?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I think it does try and paint it like that. It definitely tries to. There's a lot of stuff about like interesting stuff about gender in this film as well. Like obviously having a young woman go to the big city for the first time and seeing it through her eyes and seeing the sort of any sort of misogyny she experiences, and then going back to the 60s and experiencing the misogyny through Sandy's eyes and the world she sort of gets embroiled in. And I think it does enough for both of them as characters that when certain things happen and certain things are revealed, that you kind of understand where it's coming from. But I think it's definitely, even though those horror elements felt a bit cliche at times, I felt like it was telling a more interesting story than perhaps another film with these sort of scares, you know. But you know what I mean, with the ghoulies and the appearing and the visions and a lot of things that get on my nerves in horror films were present here, but didn't get on my nerves so much because it felt like it had a much more refined directorial style attached to it. So there was even a dream within a dream moment where someone awakes from a dream and then awakes again. And usually that gets on my nerves so much. But this time I was a bit like, see, that's how it is done right. Because
is it because, like, do you think you forgive it a bit more because this film is about dreams? You know, they're having dreams.
Yeah.
It's not like a nightmare that just is.
Yeah. At that point, she's like slipping between the dream world and the waking world a bit more fluidly.
I just think it's a lot more refined. It's a lot more imaginative with the things I guess a lot of overdone things it tries to do, but it tries to do it in give a slightly different spin.
I think you could never say Edgar Wright does anything lazy. Like every little nook and cranny is so polished and put together.
There were so many moments where I was just like, I'd love to know how that was shot. Or I bet it's all in camera, like stuff that looks like perhaps is
between the actors. Yeah.
Stuff that looks like it isn't in camera. You're like, it's in camera because it just feels like that. It feels real, I guess.
Performance-wise as well, like there's some nice characters. There's some great work that goes into it. Like Anya Taylor-Joy, in particular, is, you know, it's someone whose star continues to be on the rise with everything that you tend to see her in, right? And you go back to that old phrase, wasn't she told apparently in early auditions that she didn't have the looks to be like a lead actor, whereas it's you know, whoever said that, fucking eating it now, I guess. But,
shit. I think she commands this film. This film is like, every time she's on screen, it is like, obviously, like it's the film. What's her name? Thomasin McKenzie.
I mean, I really like not to take anything away from her. Like she does great work as like the in picture. She has a lot of range that's in it. But you know, let's not focus just on the main two characters. Obviously, Michael Ajao, he's a sweetheart, isn't he? MVP, the nicest man.
Can you believe
that was going to be a heel turn?
Oh no! Surely not. I was worried, but so Michael Ajao played Mayhem in Attack the Block. If you remember, obviously me and Luke covered that in an episode.
Oh yeah.
Two little kids who hide in a skip. That's 10 years ago. He was like, I guess 10.
Wow.
And now he's in this. Like that's insane.
Yeah. He's brilliant. I thought he was like, the character was a nice bit of relief from all the grubbiness of the rest of the things. Like, oh, you're just nice. I'd have just watched a film where just get on.
Oh yeah, that would have been nice. Because there's like the classic twat character as well. What's her name? Jocasta. Piece of shit. Yeah. Oh, fuck. She didn't get much of a comeuppance. I was a bit disappointed in that.
Yeah,
in the end,
she's quite friendly.
Like she like waves.
Yeah.
I guess like she respects her now. She's like.
Yeah, if you almost shank someone in a library and stab
them
with scissors, then it's
done. You've done a good fashion. You've done a good fashion.
I'll stop making fun of you in the toilets now, I guess. Nave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's annoying. Yeah.
But
at the same time, like I think Thomasin, what's her name? Ellie deals with that very well. Which I think if I moved into that scenario where I had to share a room with a twat, move out straight away, see you later. Quietly in the night. Goodbye.
Yeah. So Ellie Turner, the actress, Thomasin McKenzie, is from New Zealand. She puts on a sort of glossed West Country accent. Is that? I mean, I'm not from.
Would you accept that, Ben? You're from closer. I mean, that's not red.
So
not a Cornish accent.
So her family's supposed to be from Cornwall. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's almost like she's doing like a TV version of that.
Okay.
You know, like we want to hear, you know, because in the trailers I thought she sounded a bit like she was doing that sort of weird, wishy-washy indie singer London voice.
Okay.
Yeah. But then, and I was a bit like, I hope she didn't sound like that throughout the whole film, and it was a little bit dulled down in this. But when her nan's on the screen, that's proper Cornish.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on here then? I can't believe it. We're in London, the big city. Oh no.
Yeah.
Like that. Which is lovely.
Also, Diana Rigg. Is this last film? I think there's a little dedication to it at the start of the film.
Yeah. Terence Stamp as well. I was going to say as a certain character, but that's not how it pans out. Matt Smith as well. A lot of like my smaller parts, and everyone does really well, I think.
Yeah. So it starts with a music sequence where Eloise is like dancing, doing impressions of Breakfast at Tiffany's and stuff, and she's doing it all whilst wearing 60s music and wearing like a dress made out of newspaper, which I thought was really cool.
No wonder she got into bloody fashion school. You can make dresses like that out of newspaper. I can't make an aeroplane.
Well, no one's asking you to make an aeroplane. Paper aeroplane, maybe.
Can you make a Boeing 747 out of this broadsheet? I'll give it a good go. I'll give it a go. What newspaper was it though? Was it the Sun? Wiped her ass on it afterwards as well.
Yeah. We learn pretty soon on that she's got like psychic abilities. She can see her dead mum in the mirror.
Ghost mum. Yeah.
Ghost mum. She doesn't say anything. Doesn't even. It's very the creepiest part of the film, I'd say. Creepy mum poking her face into the bedroom.
Yeah, because initially I was like,
"Postman comes, goes, it's the post. Cheers, mum."
Yeah,
it's the post, and you go down, and it's just like a thing about like from a gardener or something. I could do your garden. What, ghost mum? What are you doing? Telling me about this? What a waste of time. You couldn't relax, could you? If you had a ghost mum,
turned up to tell you the most benign things.
You couldn't relax.
Timer's going to go off on the oven.
Imagine if
I know.
you go for your day, and at some point your mum may or may not be watching you. You couldn't get on with your normal day.
You couldn't get on with your day. I'm sorry to say this, but like I don't know, if you're defecating, for example, and you're having a particularly tough time about it. You know, when you're like,
please say mum's not here.
Bloody hell. Bloody hell, I'm working up a sweat here. Jesus Christ. I'm going to have to take this t-shirt off.
The most embarrassing, the lowest point of your life. You've fallen asleep naked in the middle of a dance floor or something.
Food yourself in the middle of an exam.
You look in the mirror, see your mum staring
that's
at you.
That's it though. You've got to make sure that you've got to make sure that in any places where there might be embarrassing things that they're going to, you're not in a mirror, because ghost mom lives in the same dimension as Candyman.
Oh
exactly. Yeah.
I do always feel a bit freaked out, you know, when somebody dies and then trying to make them feel you know, someone's trying to make them feel better, and they go, "Oh, don't worry, they'll always be with you and they'll always be watching." I'm like, I hope not. I really hope not.
through newspapers.
What are you doing over there? Are you watching Only Wales Essex, thinking no one knows? Yeah. I know. Wait till you get up here.
Ghosts to be able to spoil it for you as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen it all. They've always got it playing up here or down there.
Oh, they're gonna get back together. Oh, mom, ghost mom.
Ghost mom for fun. She doesn't say a lot though, so she'd have to do it with like little facial expressions.
Yeah. So ghost mom correctly predicts
when the baddie comes on screen.
he's a wrong.
Point, yeah. So ghost mom correctly predicts that Ellie has been let into the London College of Fashion, I think it is. So she packs everything up. She pours a drawer full of socks into a bag, takes all of the grandma's records.
All of the Cilla Black records.
Classic move. No, grandma.
Black was in.
Yeah, no. was about to do a sort of black impression. What did she say? Tirana love, Laura laughs.
George says, surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. Also takes all the bloody records. Her grandmum's not going to be able to listen to anything, just except her own faults.
Yeah.
Oh God. She ain't got Spotify.
When you think though, with the Beats by Dre headphones, that Ellie's probably got like streaming stuff. She's not going to listen to those records naturally because she listens to them on the train. She hasn't got like the record player cranked up.
Wow, Dusty Springfield. Take it to the Matthews Bridge.
New Limp Bizkit album.
But yeah, she takes. she takes all the Nan's records, and then I'll take this picture of me of us all together. And she goes, I'll send for that when I'm settled in. And then she gives it to her outside. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it anyway.
You know what I quite liked about this movie, sorry to jump in there, is that like the family photos looked real. You know, in a lot of movies, when you see the family photos, they've been photoshopped within an inch of their lives. Like they've got like a young photo of someone superimposed onto like a school kid's head or something.
Yeah.
At least these look real. It looked like they kind of went out and took some photos. It didn't look like nonsense.
Face. Just a little,
a little womble face. A face. Someone's painted a face on an egg and just put it in a picture.
They all look like pre-serum, like Captain America, Steve Rogers, the little tiny body.
Exactly. When he just, I hate that. Like, I hate that when it shows. I'm like, just don't show the photo because it's literally taken me out of the movie by showing me some shitty photoshopped photo. Sorry, someone.
Patinated, wasn't it? The photo, the glass was a little bit slimy, not slimy, shiny, so you couldn't quite see it. So I think they kind of covered the tracks a bit.
They did, right?
Nice scene where she goes to London on the train, and it really sort of captured whenever you do go to London on a train, when the sort of the passage from countryside to buildings getting slightly bigger and bigger, and more people get on the train, looking more and more tired and angry. And then she gets off in Piccadilly Circus, I think, gets a taxi from a creepy guy who starts like complimenting on her legs. When I was in London, that only happened like once or twice. So to get it right from the get-go.
The first taxi driver.
Yeah. The guy, he kind of waits, like he makes a few odd...
It's very strange,
statements.
He's kind of a bit creepy, isn't he? So he's been creepy and gone, or really, you'd be a model with legs like that, and then he says, "Oh, you'll have your first stalker," and then it's she wants to get out, and he kind of makes a fuss about it, right? She's like, "Oh no, it's too dangerous. Sorry, I'll drop you off. I haven't got enough money. Oh, I'm sure we'll work something out. I want to go to the fucking shop then.
I want to go to the fucking shop to get a can of Coke, and this can of Coke's going to get more screen time in this film than any other product." Cornetto. Yeah, that would have been great. That would have been like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he points at the screen. Cornetto. And then she goes and moves into some halls. So the London College of Fashion moves into some halls. A roommate's like a right knobhead.
Yeah. Just like the hostel that we stayed in that time. Do you remember that little capsule hostel?
I do remember that. Yeah, it was like that. People were just having a full-blown conversation on the phone in the middle of the night. Hello? What's that? Who's this? Oh, I'm just in some shitty hostel with two bold twats either side of me.
Where was this?
We went down for film festival or something like that, and we stayed in this little. It was like £30 a night, which is pretty cheap for London. But like it was, like in Japan, they have capsule hotels. It was like that, but there were no walls, so all the walls were just like beds next to it.
Bunk beds. Yeah, it was like that. It was very strange. But
that type of thing works in Japan because everyone is so quiet and polite.
It's not in here.
Oh right, like this is it. Share with you lot. Oh, also, so. Yeah, but this is a pretty much a nightmare where obviously she's staying with. I mean, fair enough. She's gone to a college of fashion and people are going to want a party, but it is a bit too much. I mean, maybe when I was younger, I would have been like, "This looks like fun," but now, age 34, I was looking at it thinking, "Oh my god, what a nightmare!
Yeah.
Horrendous."
You've got to start your classes in the morning, you bloody idiots! Come on,
you bloody idiots! Come on, it's 8:30. What are you doing? Leaving to go out now? It's 8:30. You're dead. Yeah.
They go to some pubs, clubs in and around Soho or London, wherever they are, and they go back to. She goes back to her place, puts on her headphones, listens to music that's like a comfort zone, and I think Jocasta storms in and is about to have it off with this guy. She launches her bra or pants right into Thingy's face.
Yeah.
So it's like, right, I'll go out to the party then, shall I?
Yeah.
Well, she just goes, go and sit in the communal area, and there's a fucking party going on. So she wraps herself up in a duvet burrito. Annoying. Someone takes her headphones off her head. That's annoying in any situation.
Oh my god!
Yeah, what are you listening to? And she goes, nothing now.
Yeah.
Good comeback.
If anyone deserved to be stabbed to death in the past, it was that guy.
Yeah.
There's no need for that. But obviously, John is milling about. We've seen him a couple of times already, but he kind of says to her, what does he say? He kind of warns the guy off in a sort of friendly banter way.
He's like, "Oh, you're saying our music's crap. You listen to some right old shit. Listen to
old shits."
Mr. Blobby.
Like, yeah, Mr. Blobby.
And he also
the guy basically he goes,
"See you later, Mr. Blobby's all right." The follow-up single wasn't very good, but
as he walks away, you hear him humming it.
Yeah, so he's off. But I mean, thankfully, this is the worst thing he does in the film. But John's bloody drunk of coke, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, it's got a name written on it in Sharpie as well.
Classic mayhem move.
Sorry, I've
classic mayhem move.
I've drunk your tinny.
I'd be like, "Why are you drinking my tinny for? Everyone's getting lashed up here. What are you doing drinking a little can of coke for?" He likes the way it makes his teeth all furry. Oh, yeah. Lovely.
Well, he knows that he's got to start college the next day, though. So he's like, "I'll just have a tinny of coke. That'll perk me up."
Pretty good idea. Full of electrolytes. Yeah.
And you know what though? You can't blame John for it because Coke has run that whole campaign where it's just randomly got names. Share a Coke with so and so. This is just the way it's come from the shop. Share a Coke with Ellie. I mean,
written in Sharpie.
I didn't have a share a Coke with John. This is a random Coke. I just drink it up.
Yeah. This is annoying as well because then it cuts to her waking up and realizing she's late. Did no one wake her up? Anyone? Because they all seem to go to the same college and it seems like they're all in the same lecture.
Why didn't you that even if you had broken sleep and she was a bit tired from being woken up, you would surely wake up when you were sat bolt upright on a thing. You are naturally awoken, quite uncomfortable and quite early.
Yeah. You're gonna have the stiffest neck.
Yeah.
Known to man. Which
is a bit late. Pleasant. She legs it in and gets to college just in time for her name to be called, and thinks it's a question. Very funny, but a bit naive because she. I'm pretty sure that even Cornwall, people are familiar with a register. University. And also, maybe university's changed since I went there, but I'm pretty sure didn't give a shit who was there.
yeah. Maybe because the first one, I don't know.
I think they even preferred it when people didn't turn up.
Yeah, the university's like, have you paid your fees? Yes.
No. Yes, that's right. Now you do whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
And if you just about managed to get a degree, good for you.
Yeah. Well done, show off.
I'm pretty sure she pretty much moves out there and then, right? She sees.
Well, because I think she goes on another. Well, no. It was that night that when she went on that night out, she went in the toilet and she heard Jocasta and all the other girls kind of saying she was.
Oh yeah, because it's revealed early on that her ghost mom is a ghost because she has killed herself.
Yeah.
She had mental health problems and is now dead.
She also went to London to do fashion, I think, or something.
Yeah.
And it was all too much.
It was all
too much for her. Someone drank her can of Coke as well.
That's it.
Yeah. So
suicide.
Yeah. She said, "Oh, I had a really long day. Oh, it's okay. I've got that Coke at home."
John.
Yeah, can't take it anymore. So and she hears Jocasta that she slashes her wrist within a bloody week. So Jocasta, stone cold bitch number one, thinks right. I'm not living with this dickhead, and she sees a card about a room for rent, women only.
In Gooch Place.
Gooch Street.
Been to Goon Street.
Yeah, it's like Fitzrovia, I think, right?
Oh yeah,
something like that.
Lovely.
Down there.
Yeah, and it's like an old. You know what? It's one of those houses that like it's like a bit of a townhouse, terrace street house, pretty bog standard in a way, but like it'd be worth like £2 million or something now.
Millions of pounds.
Because how many? It's got
amounts of money.
how many floors has it got?
I think it's just the 2 floors. Oh no, I think it's maybe 3 floors actually.
Yeah.
A big up and down house, and it's got like a bed sitting in it. And Mrs. Collins got it for a steal, bought it for buttons. She said.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Literal buttons? That's not
a rich homeowner was like, oh, my jacket's broken. I'll trade anything for some buttons for this. She
got any buttons? Got any buttons? But it's pretty much absolutely ideal for Ellie, who likes things a little bit old school, a little bit got a bit of character. There's like a cafe, like sort of a French restaurant next door, which has got these neon blue and red lights flashing constantly. Drape. I guess that kind of in the trailer, I was a bit like, I wonder why everything's red and blue. That's obviously why. Kind of makes sense.
That's the same as in the 60s, was right? It's the same lights, constantly flashing like metronomically between blue and red.
Yeah. Neon lights peaked in the 60s and have not changed a day since.
No, don't change them. Yeah. But yeah, she pretty much loves it. She moves in straight away. There are a few rules though, which are no male visitors after 8 p.m, which is I mean, fair enough. EastEnders is on. What else are the rules? Don't fuck off in the middle of the night. I mean, that's one of them. Give me a whole year's rent.
Oh yeah, 2 months rent. Jesus Christ.
2 months rent plus 2 months deposit.
I just be like, do you think I is made of money? Is that what you're thinking?
But yeah. So she wants to. There is another rule though. Apart from the no men, no smoking.
No smoking, yeah. Don't bloody smoke, but as we find out in a little bit later, she smokes.
All the rules are important. They all come back. These are Chekhov's rules.
And she's got loads of male visitors sticking around.
Yeah.
The flow buds. But so I don't know when the first dream sequence is.
I think it pretty much just happens that night, doesn't it? She
she
gets settled in her gym jams. And does that thing. She does this a lot in this film, and I know it's probably just representing her falling asleep, but does that thing where she goes, good night, immediately asleep. That doesn't happen to anyone, all right? And you're showing off if it does.
I wish I could do that.
You can do that.
Can't get that annoyed at me because she says as soon as I say I'm going to sleep,
that's it.
On within seconds. Yeah.
I think I'm mostly the same, but I think it's because I only say I'm going to sleep when I know I am going to sleep. That's it.
There's no literally fading out with your last breath, like
you're going to sleep now. I think I'll go to sleep now. Yeah. Night. Yeah. And I always do you get that thing where you're like falling. What's it called?
Yeah.
You like your leg out and stuff.
Jesus fucking Christ, has fallen off the edge of a fucking cliff. Oh, I'm in bed. Am I?
Right. The opposite, like when it's bedtime, it's like, right, going to sleep now. And then you turn around and it's like, I wonder if I know the entire plot word for word of this thing that I have not thought about for years.
Yeah, I hate that.
Sometimes.
Lying in bed. Do you remember an argument you had 10 years ago? What could you have said differently?
The thing is, like, if I do feel like that now, I just get up and just because I've realized if I try and force the sleep, I just get worse and worse, and I just can't do it.
You can never force to sleep.
If I eat something, if I drink some milk and read a book or something, eventually I'll pass out.
A little bit of milk, warm milk.
No, I don't think I'd.
Drop a
Coke. Little baby boy.
Get a Horlicks.
Oh, Horlicks. That's good stuff. It just never mixes well. That's almost like cooking. It's too much like cooking.
What are you cooking in there? I'm just stirring a Horlicks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Spoonful of mellow birds and then straight to sleep.
So it does. We get like a few of the Edgar Wright cinema tricks here. Although I'm pretty much sure this bit was in Eternal Sunshine, where you drape the covers over you
Yeah.
Like you're in an endless under.
Yeah, it was.
Thing. Yeah,
it was. I'm like, God, this bed's bigger than I realised. Jesus, King.
A lovely thing. Imagine an endless tunnel bed. Be lovely.
Yeah. And then she's like walking through long alleyway towards, I can't remember what the club's called. It was like Cafe de Paris or something.
Cafe de Paris, I think. Yeah. Well, I'm like, what does that do? Like, it's just a cafe, is it? Can I get a coffee? What's going on? No. It's like a sort of, what would you say? Like a club with singers and dancing and a load of old.
Like an old-fashioned, not like a speakeasy, but I guess like the
razzle dazzle.
I guess it's what would be, like a nightclub of the time, right? Like that's what, like it's like a cabaret.
Yeah.
And
she
who's
goes
there?
in and then she starts to notice.
Surprise! It's Soho.
Blind data. So she starts to notice as she goes in, like people are treating her. That there's, can we take your coat? She's like, I'm not wearing a coat. It's just for gym jams. And then like they take off. It's actually like a pink coat or something. And she starts to notice that Anya Taylor-Joy is in reflection. She's like doing the mirror, she's tapping the mirror. What's that all about? Why are they tapping the mirror to make sure it's like tempered or something? Doing that all the time. I mean,
tempered.
This isn't good. You get this. This is going to break.
But yeah, so it's not like she's a reflection of her. It's almost like she's observing through the mirror, isn't it? Because initially I was like, oh, so she's like a reflection of her, and every time we see a mirror, she's in it. But she's observing most of the time, isn't she? She's kind of just watching her.
She's like hitchhiking, like along for the ride.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
There's a cool bit where Anya Taylor-Joy is going down some stairs, and the mirrors are like, there's like tons of them at different angles. So I don't even know how they would have done this, but Thomasin McKenzie's like there's multiple versions of her walking next to Anya Taylor-Joy. It's really good. A lot of this stuff feels very Edgar Wright. Do you feel like this film is kind of Black Swanish? It feels like it's got some similar themes, vibes, and cinematography tricks as Black Swan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
And visually, I think this is where the film begins to come to its own, and the music, with the musical stings and everything that you get here as well. This is where it really shines, and it's like, you've recreated some beautiful scenes. It wasn't about in the 60s. I can't tell you how accurate they were, but I think as you imagine these grand things of like areas like London and what it must have been like in the when they're at their height, these clubs and so on, and just the costumes, everything, it's so well done in these bits. It's like a big grand scene.
Oh yeah, there's like a Bovril thing on the bus that goes by.
tofu tea bags or something like that.
I think they go through. Did she go past Piccadilly Circus again? And we see like all the old signage.
Obviously we see a cinema with is it Rollerball that's been shown?
Oh, it's Sean Connery. Yeah. That's crazy.
Sean Connery
literally just passed away, so it does feel like passed away, isn't it? Did I make that up?
He passed away. It's probably about a year ago now, I think. I saw someone reshare it recently and say
that's what would have happened. Yeah.
I saw someone reshare it and say this is a tragedy. I was like, that was definitely a year ago. Clicked on it and it was like October 2020.
Yeah. I think this is the most fun aspect of the film.
And everything's just nice at the minute.
Yeah,
she good night, sweethearts. It goes back into the past.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing, isn't it? Like, I think what this represents well is this sort of rose-tinted glasses of what the past was like. And obviously, I'm sure there was absolutely loads of lovely stuff going on in the past, of course. But at the same time, like being a young woman in sort of a big city like this, and especially in a club like this where it's, I guess, mostly men, we get to see like what life like must have been like.
I think it's like Luke was saying, like you get the Ellie had the experience with the sort of
taxi driver.
Yeah, is that the taxi driver, and then we see how our new character Anya Taylor-Joy deals with the same behavior. Like she's a lot more confident with it as well. Like, there's the guy comes over and it's like, oh, all right, darling, you want to come and join me and my friends? She's like, oh, no, I'm here to talk to the owner. So like, oh, what, I'm the owner. Says, yeah, I doubt it, mate. Like she has that kind of confidence about her.
Well, I guess what's kind of tragic about it, sorry, not jumping ahead, but what's kind of tragic about it is despite the fact that they deal with those two similar scenarios in very different ways, they both still do get sort of ground down by it in similar sort of ways as well, which is what's quite effective, I think.
Yeah.
So what she do? She goes to get a drink, which is Vesper. What is that? Sounds fizzy.
It's clear. Is it a clear? It's a clear one.
Isn't it a vodka martini? Isn't the one that James Bond invented in Casino Royale?
Yeah.
What is it? Italian.
It's a shaken, not stirred with a twist of lemon.
This one's been stirred.
It's a vodka. Yeah, I think it's a James Bond vodka martini.
In the waiter's face.
Yeah. Oh yeah, gin, vodka, and quinoa Lillet.
It's quinoa, Ben.
Quinoa. It's got a little bits of quinoa floating. Gin and vodka. I always think like, what's that? It got gin and vodka in it. Well, that's two very strong spirits. What we got to water it down a bit, otherwise you're just going crazy. 45 milliliters gin, 15 milliliters vodka, 7.5 milliliters of Lillet Blanc.
That sounds quite strong.
It sounds incredibly strong, doesn't it? You couldn't guzzle that.
Well,
have a big swig of it.
That's what we'll do this weekend, guys. I'll pack some gin and some vodka. We'll have some Vespers.
I'll bring some Rennies.
I'll bring some Bovril, so we can really feel like we're in the 1960s.
I've never had Bovril before.
Beef.
They used to sell it I used to work at the Pride Park football stadium, and he used to sell it there. I never
beef tea. It's definitely like a football drink, isn't it? Beef tea. You were at Pride Park. Did we know this?
Only for a little bit.
Were you there when Paolo One Chop was there?
Is he one of the audience guys?
I think he was Costa Rican. Paolo One Chop. He was a Derby County player.
I think I was there after Chris Commons. Just after Chris Commons.
Oh, Chris Commons. Paolo One Shot was there from 97 to 99.
I wasn't there then.
Oh, gutted.
I think I did go to watch Derby play Man U, like when I was very, very young. That would have been about 99.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they were in the Prem a few times, weren't they? I think Derby also got like the lowest points tally for a Premier League season once as well. That's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't think they were very good. I don't know football much anymore. Are they good now?
I think they're in the Championship, so the league below the Premier League. I think they're doing all right. They're in the same league as Bristol City, and Bristol City are kind of like perpetually average in that league. So about the same. Oh, their manager's Wayne Rooney though at the moment.
Oh yeah, true.
We digress.
So... Welcome to Soccer Points Hangout.
I would love to do a football podcast, but that's for another time. Where you have to drink Bovril for the duration of it.
You drink a Bovril, yeah.
You eat a pie. Yeah, go on. What do you say, Luke?
Well, Sandy is talking to the bartender, and then she says, "I need to speak to the owner or something." And the bartender's like, "The owner's not here, but you want to talk to that guy over there, Doctor Who." He's
got a lovely hairstyle.
I was honestly a bit gobsmacked that Cilla Black was just in the film.
Yeah, that was cool.
Having a sing song. Anyone heard a heart? They're chatting away.
Yeah, and then she does. They have a little boogie. Matt Smith's dancing is kind of half-assed dancing, but he's smoking at the same time. So
and drinking. He's smoking and he's drinking, and he's sort of like
he's channeling some John Travolta. That is
that's true.
Letter to that like twist scene of.
But then again, did men in the 60s like really go crazy at that? I feel like the kind of club they were at was like this gentleman's smoking. It felt like all the men would be like, "I ain't mucking about with a fucking dance. All right, I'll have a little shake of the boogie, but I ain't got any moves to pull out."
Yeah, but then this chap calls her a whore. He says he wants to go on her dance routine or something.
Wants to go to dancing.
And then Matt Smith punches him, and he gives him a once right in the snoz, and then they run away. But they're being chased, but they don't seem that about it.
He's channeling. This is what his Doctor Who training would have come in for.
Oh yeah.
I think of modern era Doctor Who. It's always like someone holding someone's hand and then running with them.
Running from something that can't even go upstairs, like a fucking Dalek.
90% of new Doctor Who is holding someone's hand and running.
Do you think the new Doctor Who is going to be played by Daniel Craig?
Potentially. Daniel Craig, the man with 2 first names. Oh yeah.
In this age of prestige television, it could be anyone. There aren't film or television actors anymore. You could have a film Craig. Person.
Yeah.
Halle Berry.
Doctor Who.
Halle Berry. And then so they're kind of like running away, but not quite kind of running away. It's like a playful runaway.
Well, they sort of run away from doing the punch. He does the punches. They run away to a phone box and have a bit of a snog.
Does a smooch.
Gives her a love bite.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a class act, is Doctor Who.
Classic move.
So he gives her a love bite, and then they look out, and those guys have like going, "Oh, there's that man that punched me over there," and they go, "Oh, quick, let's run back out," and they run out. They run outside to the car then.
But they don't seem to be in that much of a rush when they're outside. They're like saying, "I'll see you tomorrow."
Also, you can tell it's the 60s. Parking directly outside the place you want to go in? Absolutely not in modern London. Never, ever. Congestion charge.
Having a car and being anywhere near where you want to be.
Yeah. Sorry, so I got to get a park. Where did you park? 45-minute walk.
Driving by choice in London.
Yeah. Absolute madness. That's the true horror of this movie.
Yeah.
And also, so he gives her a love bite because he's like, I want people to know that you've been with me, all right?
He's always got a fag on.
He's always got a fag on. Are you all right? How can you run if you're smoking like a chimney? I just don't inhale.
It's like Don Cotton.
Oh, Nick. And he drops her back to Googe Place, doesn't he? Is that pretty much what happens?
Is this where we reveal that like it was her room as well? This is why the connection.
Yeah. She goes upstairs, lies down,
gets into bed and turns back into Ellie.
Yeah. And if she goes to college, maybe she's like starts designing the same dress that Anya Taylor-Joy was wearing, the pink one.
The one that looks like it's made out of pink crepe paper.
Yeah.
Well, we know that Ellie's good at making things out of paper, so that's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
So she maybe goes to get her hair dyed at this point, or she goes to buy that. Maybe she doesn't buy the white coat yet. I don't think.
No, I think at this point is when Jocasta notices that she's got a love bite, and she's a bit, that's bloody old school, isn't it? Got a dirty little love bite, and Ellie gets a bit like embarrassed, but you'd also be like, what the fuck? What's going on here? Did Diana Rigg crawl into my room in the middle of the night and suck on my neck?
Yeah.
Well, did she know? Because she knows she's a medium to some extent, right? Like it's not hidden that she has these kind of abilities. So do you think she knows that that came from the dream?
I guess maybe not confirmed. It's probably probably a bit confused at this stage. It's only after Dream 1, and when she starts going back into the dream, I think she starts to realize that there's some sort of connection with real life.
Yeah. Because right now John comes over and bless his heart, guys. He's bought her a new tinny of Coke.
Oh yeah, classic move.
And she basically copies what she heard Sandy say in the dream. So she's like, "Oh, I've got you a new tinny of Coke. It's the least I can do." Because
oh yeah,
what's the most you could do? 6-pack, I guess.
Bloody hell, Jesus Christ, multi-pack. One of those big boxes, one of those big fridge boxes that take up all the room in the fridge.
A glass bottle of Coke.
Oh yeah,
that's the most you can do.
Classic.
Holidays are coming.
So she goes and gets her hair. Does she have another dream before she goes and gets her hair? I don't think she does.
He asks if she wants to do something, but she's like, "Nah, I've got plans tonight." And what her plans are? It's like Christmas Eve. She's trying to go to bed as early as possible, so she can continue the dream. Probably light outside.
What if you can? Yeah. What if you can't Christmas Eve? I've never been able. You know when you wake up halfway through a dream and you go, "Oh, I'll get back to sleep so I can continue that dream." Never works. Never ever works. You end up in a dream where you work in a bakery or some shit. That sounds good, actually.
The problem is, I think like
certainly not the next day.
Those dreams where like this is amazing, like this should be like a film or something, and it's going really well. But I think maybe you run out of ideas, so then it just like turns into something else, and you're like, what? Yeah, no.
My dream could be a film. Yeah, my dream was directed by Edgar Wright. I tell you.
Yeah, you go to sleep and you're in like a beautiful, memory of the age that you admire the most. It's beautiful and it's colourful, and you've been inspired to do your best college work ever. And you wake up and you go back to sleep, and it's like, oh, now my dream's about sitting and doing my taxes. Wonderful. It
did kind of remind me what college was like. You go in, do a bloody drawing, and then go to the pub for like 8 hours and then go home. That was pretty much what it was. What did you do yesterday? Oh, I've done a bloody drawing. It was great. That it? Yeah.
You just said it was
a pretty good drawing there.
I mean, it was good drawing. Yeah. So the next dream is where Sandy goes with Jack to like some club where she's going to audition and basically essentially become the next Cilla Black. She wants to be a singer, so she goes to a little club, and the manager like watches her. And what does she sing?
Downtown.
Oh yeah, she sings Downtown a cappella.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's nice.
Wait, it is this version where she's singing a cappella, but then like slightly eerie strings start to come in behind it. It's really well done. I think maybe Ellie's watching from, or Ellie
she's like
watching it from the
sat in the audience, and she's really happy. She's got an audition. The guy's going to find a part for her. She's going to be a singer. Huzzah!
Yeah.
And she goes to Jack, and he's oh, I do need a manager. Do you know anyone? Says yeah. Do you want some sex to celebrate that? Yes, please.
Yes, please. And on the dotted line with a little bit of sexy time.
Yeah.
Goes back to the bed sit and gets it on, and the next day Ellie wakes up and she goes, you know what? I love Sandy. I love being Sandy in the dream. I'm gonna go and get my hair dyed blonde.
And get a same jacket from
get the same vintage white Macintosh.
Like it is the same dress. I mean, jacket.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to know if that's supposed to be the same one.
She buys it from somebody. There's a lot of like really small roles in this for like British comedy actors. There's like the girl who sells her the jacket is in This Country. The guy who works in the library a little bit later is Al from Staff Let's Flats. I reckon there was another 2 or 3. So it's
the pub landlady, because when she buys this,
of course,
Mrs. Doyle.
Yeah, Mrs. Doyle. I think it went from the coat, and I went, she's from This Country, to then immediately cut to Mrs. Doyle, and I went, and that's Mrs. Doyle. Like, what's going on?
The pub that we were in earlier, there was a help wanted sign, and because she needs to buy expensive jackets, got to have a job.
Got to have a bloody job, yeah. So, but at this job, there's a dude who's like one of the most loyal customers, a grey-haired man who looks a kind of bit familiar.
Spooky grey-haired man.
A spooky grey-haired man who's a bit follows a bit, tries to get her attention, because obviously
like in Soho you do get those kinds of people who are kind of lingers on from the time before, who are always kind of hanging out in the pubs, and you could tell like just from looking at them, like the way they're dressed, like they probably were maybe had a bit of money or something, or they were involved in that kind of scene.
A little bit of wheeling and dealing, eh?
Whenever this guy talks as well, he seems to talk really slow, like he's had a stroke. And I think maybe it's just to throw us off or something, like to
because is this the bit where he follows her? He goes, "Hey girl, I've got a
blondie or something.
Do I know your bloody mom?" or something like that. And
So we're made to think, well, if he recognizes like the look of Sandy, like with the coat and the hair, he must have been involved with her in the past. So I mean, the natural conclusion there is that this is an older version of Matt Smith's character, Jack. Now, obviously, of course, we're going to spoil things with this, so apologies. But as a red herring, I don't know if it was established well enough for me to go, oh, it's that person. I feel like the person he was revealed to be needed one or two more little scenes so we could see that he was a constant. The fact that we only kind of see him once, and I was like, who's it supposed to be?
When I see this film again, when it does reveal what it is, and you replay who he really is, I swear they voice him with Terence Stamp's voice, or he does a Terence Stamp impression.
I think so too. Like when I was saying, like the way Terence Stamp talks, this guy in the older time, after it was revealed, I was like, oh yeah, he was like talking in exactly the same way, like his mouth was like moving in a really similar way.
But when this character when Sandy said to him, "Are you a copper?" Like he didn't confirm or deny, and I was a bit like, I didn't really believe it.
If you ask a policeman to replace them, they have to tell you didn't know the rules.
Yeah,
you're a
you
cop,
bastard.
Did he say he looks after the girls or something? Or...
Like he said that he knows all the girls, and then one of the other people said, "Oh, are you watching out for the octopus?" He's always
but the thing is,
left.
Oh yeah, it was in a montage scene where there was loads and loads of blokes, so I almost felt like it was a bit.
And they all became faceless, and that was the whole thing. Like she changed her name, to each of them, and the blur.
Not there yet. So she's a bit creeped out by the man, the old fella, but he's got a job. It's going along with college, and she is.
Oh well, wait. She nearly gets flattened by a taxi as well, which is a nice,
Chekhov's taxi.
Yeah. Chekhov's taxi. Yeah, Chekhov's taxi. Is anyone driving that fast in London? And all said
Chekhov was driving it. Hello,
Chekhov.
Yeah, Chekhov's going through town. Oh, I run a fast taxi business. Don't worry, I don't stop.
Yeah.
And so you're going to run someone over one of these days. Chekhov, unlikely story.
No.
Never happened, mate. Never happened. So she gets back home and goes straight to sleep again, looking forward to another
Chapter 3
of the dream, when it's going to be going absolutely Boston. It's going to be, and she gets to sleep, and she does, and they're at the club, and not Sandy comes out on stage to do Puppet on a String.
Yeah. And then all the backing dancers come out, and Sandy's one of them. So what it looks like she's been involved in now is that Jack isn't nice fella. He seems like he's, initially he's obviously not a pimp, but he's just slowly involving these girls in this life, and then eventually getting to a point where he's just he's pimping them out.
Yeah, because that's the same. I think we get there fairly quickly, right? So she goes off stage, and we have a little bit of a blur where Ellie sort of follows up, and she reappears with her in her dressing room, and Jack is there, and he says, "I'll come down and talk to this guy." And another sleazy old fella's like, "Oh, maybe me and you should go for a few drinks." He's like, "I'm kind of with Jack." And it's like, he doesn't mind.
Yeah. And he says, "No, I don't mind, not one bit." This was quite a good scene when she was like rushing around backstage in the club as well, because you kind of like saw, it was almost like the curtain had moved, and everything, you could see everything, the icky underbelly of everything, like drugs and sex and just all that stuff going down.
Where do we go from here? So
it degrades pretty quickly. I know it's always hard. When we talk about a film that we, behind the curtain, guys, I don't know if it's any different for you two. When we're watching a film that was on a streaming service or is older, so you've got it on a format at home, you can watch it again. I'm watching at home, so I make notes. When you see something at the cinema, can't really do that. Can't do that. The guy with your phone lit up, typing the notes. So
what are you doing? I'm making notes for a podcast. All right, what's your problem?
Yeah, doesn't fly until we're such a big deal that we get private screenings and so on, where we can write notes of bloody art's content. Gotta make do. But from memory, like, it kind of escalates as we go through a little bit here. So she has more dreams. Ellie herself is getting more stressed in the real world, and is like,
I think she even sees Matt Smith like randomly turn up. There was a jump scare that actually made me jump. I think maybe Matt Smith turning up in the bedroom randomly.
Oh yeah.
Make anyone jump.
Whoa, Jesus Christ!
Shouting oranges in your ear like the Tango Man.
Of all the places you could be in time and space, and you're here.
Yeah.
To shout at me and jump scare me. So she's a little bit disheartened with it all and is kind of fallen out of love with the thing, but she's still obsessed with what's going on. So she's visibly stressed in her studies, and then she's seeing the other side of things in the dreams. She's seeing more of just being forced to spend night after night with more and more of these men. She starts making up names and getting less and less enthusiastic. She's started drinking more. She
starts to kind of give into it, doesn't it? Like her willpower drains over time, and if she just starts laughing and like taking drugs or whatever,
and this is where we get the one
pain.
So all these others are basically like, oh, that's a nice name, and then that's a lovely name, before they go and force themselves on her. But there's one person that she's talking to who's like, that's not your real name. You should get out of here while you still can. And he goes, oh, I reckon you're a cop. And it's like, do you now? That's why should I reckon you're a cop? She didn't say, are you a policeman? Because they have to tell you if they are.
Yeah.
She didn't play by the rules either. And it's just kind of going onwards, right? She's clearly stressed.
It's just
by it.
Degenerating over time, and that like something that was a wonderful dream. She was existed in an era that she obviously had a lot of love for and kind of wanted. I think she even says to Diana Rigg at one point she would have loved to have been around in the 60s. So it's essentially like a dream come true for her.
But now she herself is having these nightmares with these endless streams of like faceless ghouly men. This is the ghouly men start appearing, right?
Yeah, ghouly men in their pants and vests that are like in like undress to sort of visualize how they were when they were in the same room as where Ellie sleeps every night, but with Sandy.
Okay, so at this point, Ellie now is kind of not wanting to go to sleep or in that bedroom, because every time she does, it's getting increasingly nightmarish. And then the boy, I can't remember his name now, invites her to a Halloween party.
Mayhem.
Yeah. They go to a nice Halloween party where she does minimum effort, where she just like puts black circles around her eyes.
Yeah.
Put some bloody effort in. Order something from Amazon. It'll come the next day if you got Prime. All right.
Oh, come on. She was thrown out by the fact that someone called her register. She's not up with Amazon.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Also, you're a fashion designer. Bloody make something. All right. Classic.
John says, well, I've put this on and I'm going to do some face paint. You're already wearing black. That'll do.
Yeah. I suppose he puts 5% more effort in, but still pretty poor showing.
Yeah. Also, Jocasta and that are there because there's only one club for them to go to.
All of London.
But like she gives her like a drink, and I'd be like, she's definitely spiked that. There's an eyeball floated in that. That's not.
Yeah, but also
some prices as well. Jeez.
Someone who's clearly like an enemy and clearly has proved themselves a few times to be a definite wrong un, giving you a drink, you'd be like, oh, for God's sake, please don't.
Yeah. And it gets really bad because maybe she's spiked, maybe not. We don't actually find out for sure, I don't think. But she starts to really blur between realities here. She's
Sandy's there.
Yeah. Oh, wait, did she even find? Maybe it's the morning after something. Did she finds the club where Sandy worked? Is that the next?
It was when
she saw that when she was buying the coat. Yeah.
Okay, and it's a Thai massage parlor now, which I feel like you get that a lot in Soho.
Why do people need their ties massaged?
Businessmen.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake. Sorry.
Hard work in the office.
Yeah. So after seeing all the things and the ghouly men at the Halloween party in various reflections, she shits her pants.
Really
not literally.
Yeah, she doesn't go 100%.
No, she runs outside into the rain, but then there's a brief moment of respite when John comes after her and says, like, what's wrong? He's a very understanding person, you know, and he's very open and he listens to a lot of what she says. Whereas a lot of people could just say, are you mental? What's wrong with you? He's like, oh, I understand. I think he says later, my auntie believes in loads of crazy shit. So
that's what she tells him about the ghoulie men later. But for now, he's just like, oh, do you want to go somewhere else? And she goes, oh, go back to mine if you like. I'm not allowed boys back. We have to be very, very quiet, Elmer Fudd style.
They're not quiet though. This was stressful because they're not quiet. They do that thing when they come through the door. It's like they haven't had much to drink because they just got to the party and she left after consuming one drink. But they're doing that thing when
they got spiked, right?
Oh yeah. So... Okay. But they're doing that thing when they come through the door and they go, shh, shh.
Yeah. and doing like over the top creeping, like the Hamburglar, like up the stairs. I've only done that like once. There was one time I'd got back exceptionally late. This was late teens, early 20s. Lived at my parents' still. I was going upstairs. It had been a long night on the drinks. You know, not because I wasn't allowed to go up, but obviously everyone else is asleep. You have to wake everyone up. So I was like tiptoeing up the stairs, just. And then, unbeknownst to me, I said, "Well, you know what? It's my parents' house. I know this place well. I've only got to get up the stairs and through the door to my bedroom. Don't need a light on. Just gonna go up there." My mom, bless her, she'd obviously been tidying or doing something towards the end of the evening. Unbeknownst to me in the pitch black, the Hoover was at the top of the stairs.
Switched it on.
Tripped over it, clattered down the stairs.
Yeah. Oh my god. I thought you said crash. I thought you said you accidentally switched on and you were like, well, while it's on, I might as well do the stairs. What are you fucking doing out there? There's a good sketch on do you remember the sketch show Cardinal Burns? It was on Channel 4.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is Cardinal Burns, but I've got a good memory of this because there's a sketch where one guy wakes up next to a woman like after a night out and he's sort of like, he's like, oh shit, I better get up, get out of bed, really quietly put my socks on, put my pants on, and then it turns out he's a one-man band, so he's very quietly putting his drum on his back, very quietly putting it on, and then leaving like it's good. I enjoyed it.
Complete aside, I never know what it was. It's not a recognizable clip show, but it always reminds me of a waking up one. There's a guy that's just woken up and he's in a full set of clown makeup and he's like, oh, and we assume his wife turns around to him and says, "You're right." He goes, "Yeah, must have slept funny." So
classic. Must have slept funny. And then Luke says, "Did you sleep like that?" And then does a little headstand. Changed his life forever. You all right? You still all right or not?
Yeah.
Oh, good time.
Where were we? So yeah, she invites him back, and they are not quite at all going up the stairs, but quick enough to trick Mrs. Collins, and then get down to business. And it all goes terrible. Poor John. He must be so confused.
Yeah.
They're together. They're getting it on, and then unfortunately, on the mirrored ceiling of the bedroom, she sees Sandy.
But there isn't a mirrored ceiling, is it? Like, it's not actually there.
No, it's imaginary.
The next time she looks, imaginary mirrored ceiling.
Imaginary mirrored ceiling. Oh no!
You know what? This would be the worst time for Ghost Mom to turn up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Candyman.
What are you doing down there?
Ghost Man, Ghost Mom, and Candyman both judging you from the mirrors.
Mufasa as well.
All the people that live in the mirror dimension. Kiefer Sutherland from the film Mirrors, they're all there. So they're all there in the mirror dimension. And she can see Sandy getting attacked by Doctor Who.
Yeah. And from what it looks like, he's literally just stabbing her to death. And this is where we get the first and probably the only sort of proper blood, because this was an 18 rated movie, wasn't it? So
Yeah, it wasn't
considering
18. I was a bit surprised when I saw that.
Considering there wasn't much swearing, there wasn't much sexy time, drugs use, any of
You
that.
have to be over 18 to remember the 60s, though. So
Yeah, maybe that's it.
just don't get confused.
So she has a vision,
There's a lot of
obviously.
blood.
Yeah.
And also, like her face is reflected in the blade, in a quite a stylistic way, very kind of Hitchcockian, I guess. I don't know, feels that kind of vibe. But poor John is just in the bed as well, like wondering what the hell.
You just keep going like, what is wrong? What's going on?
And obviously she shoots like, get off me, and then zooms, get off her, and he's like, I'm not on her.
Who are you on about?
Just a man standing here.
Diana Rigg is already at the door saying, let me in. I want to join in.
Did she say like I was gonna kill him or something?
She's like, bust this door. Bust this door down. She's like, I'm coming in. You're an old lady. These sturdy old doors. But
I'm pretty sure she could do it.
But John is, the mirror gets smashed. He cuts himself up. He's having to run out onto the thing. You're right. He says the next morning, I'd have killed him. But
John just hightails it out of there, which is probably for the best, to be fair. I think if you would have stayed and tried to calm the situation in any way.
Imagine going into college that next day and seeing.
Yeah, because they do look at each other like, and I think even Jocasta says, "Oh, something happened." It's like, well, definitely not what you think.
Yeah, he got glass in his foot.
Yeah, he got John McClane.
Yeah. So I guess
I think
she goes to the police.
Yeah, so I think she goes back. Doesn't she go back to the silver-haired man at the pub first and sort of tries to get him?
He's a bit later.
Oh, that's after, isn't it? Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, so she goes to the police, and I mean, if you go to the police, why would you say I saw it in a dream? Because you know that no one's going to go, oh yeah, saw it in a dream. We're definitely going to follow this line of investigation.
Yeah. I like that immediately after the police guy, he's like, there's 5 of them in the toilet, like slamming a hand on the table. And she said it was in a dream. Like, comically, like laughing.
She always overhears people talking shit about her in the toilet, doesn't she?
Like in the toilet, yeah. I don't work in an office anymore, but you know how much I actually, in real life, anywhere I've been that has public toilets, you know how much I talk when I'm in there?
I don't know.
The amount I just did then.
It's a joke.
None.
Don't know, Andy. No. How much do you talk when you're in the toilet?
Not a joke.
It's proper small talk.
I might say, excuse me, mate. Thanks.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But there are characters who like.
I'm not going to tell an anecdote about a girl who's told me a ghost story.
I don't even have my eyes open in the toilet.
Some people do like to do it, but there's a guy I used to work with, and I think he always like knew if I was in a cubicle, and he'd like throw like some wet toilet paper over at me, and obviously I'd just be like, you'd have to be silent because you go, oh for fuck's sake, like stupid prick. And one day he came up from the toilet and he's like, oh, you're here. He was like, I just threw some wet toilet paper at someone I thought was you, and I was like, no. He's like, I'm pretty sure I could have been sure it was you who went in there. I was like, nope, I've been sat here some random guy, and he just slung it.
Always bad happening in the toilet to her.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, finally, some peace and quiet. Now I've gone in the gents, and then this woman rowing.
Don't go in the gents. There were weird characters, though, I think, who would always try and make a conversation with you, like stand directly next to you at the urinal and like say something really bland. And just be like, I get stage fright. Like if someone stands right next to me, I just cannot physically go. And you kind of got to like pretend you're done. Yep, that was satisfying.
Yeah, especially if there's a toilet attendant.
Oh yeah, toilet attendant. Oh yeah, that's always terrifying.
Has COVID done for the toilet attendant?
Just attending his own toilet.
Yeah.
Or her.
Just stood in the corner of his own toilet. With his massive tray of smellies and sweets.
With like mints.
Massive tray of smellies and sweets.
The
freshen up, man. He goes freshen up for the ladies, and you're like, I'm married. I'm married. I'm just.
To you.
I don't need to freshen up anymore. Oh yeah, to you. I'm married. To you. What's wrong with you?
My biggest defense against ever seeing a freshen up guy ever again, I guess, is of course being 38 and very rarely going to a nightclub. Let alone being married.
there was always one at Rock City, and I always thought that in Nottingham it's like the rock club place, and I always thought that's like the weirdest place to have a smelly man because like the
Smelly man. I'm sure there's plenty of smelly men in there.
Exactly. And then again, that's probably why he turned up. He's like, I've got a job to do. All these people are really stinky.
He really thinks of it as providing a necessary service. Guys, you're in quite a sweaty venue. Come on, freshen up for yourself, freshen up for everyone around you.
That club was the worst for like sticky floors. Stealing your shoes. It's like walking through treacle. Okay, anyway, so Thingy goes to the police. The police aren't interested, but there's a lady who said, "I'll ask some questions for you," because she's a bit more
not an absolute dickhead like the guy.
She's a bit more not an absolute dickhead, yeah. So then I think is this point where Eddie goes to work in the rain.
She says that without even a last name, it'd be hard to trace anyone. So she goes to the library. John turns up. Yeah. She tells him that it's about ghosts, and he's on board. He's a nice guy. He's like, okay, let me look for this person who was murdered. And they get out. And they have a great classic microfiche scene where they go to the old newspapers. But they can't find. Well, they are interrupted finding proof because you should turn up at the library without a card. Somebody ghouly men.
I do like that little gag with where John turns up, and then she's like, "Why did you sneak up on me? Why were you so quiet?" It says it's the library.
Library, yeah, that was good because it was almost like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, but yeah, the ghouly man. They started chasing her around the library. At this point, I've got to say, like, I felt really bad for Ellie because, like, there's all the uni. We just established that all the uni people are there studying for an exam that I didn't even know was coming up. We don't know how many invigilators they're going to have at the exam.
How many inquisitors?
Yeah.
But like you just feel bad for her because you know that like she's running away from these ghoulies and everyone's probably just looking at her running around like a crazy person, ruining her street cred even more.
She just got like a new haircut and everything as well.
Yeah. And then she tries to launch a pair of scissors right into Jocasta's eye.
Yeah, just gets stopped at the exact second by
John. Saves the day.
Saves the day. He's always in the right place at the right time.
And
John.
Jocasta goes off to tell. She goes,
I'm telling.
Yeah, security.
I mean, to be fair, she did nearly get stabbed in the eyeball. She probably has.
But to be honest,
she had it coming now.
What's Jocasta done? So she's almost been stabbed in the eyeball. But then she runs away shouting in a library. Two wrongs don't make a right, Jocasta.
True.
You should be in just as much trouble.
So Ellie runs away as well. I think maybe it's here she goes through the rain back to the pub.
Yeah,
I like that
think
pub,
she goes.
I like the little pub scenes that she works at.
Yeah, and she works like in the basement bit of the pub, which I think is nice.
There's a bit earlier on where the landlady says, she's like, "Do you believe in ghosts?" And the landlady says, "I think that all the ghosts are like happy memories that have been soaked into the walls." And I mean, that's like a big theme of this film is that memories kind of soak into the places. So London has had all these deaths over many, many years. Thousands of people get murdered on the streets of London throughout the 2,000 years, whatever it's been around. And it's all kind of soaked and seeped into the bricks and everything. And obviously, literally, there's like dead stuff in the walls later on. But this time she goes in and she serves Terence Stamp a drink of numbers.
Which is Cronenberg. Pile of numbers, please. What, you're so lazy you can't even say
Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Is that I just thought it was a guest ale.
Well, yeah,
Numbers.
It's just a guest ale.
Numbers is a Cronenberg nickname.
Yeah, it's like 1654 or something. So, but then she starts questioning him, and like she says, like, "You killed Sandy," and he keeps like just not saying it outright. Like he keeps saying, "Whatever happened to her, she chose it for herself." No, you killed her. I
I don't care for this line of questioning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just say you
don't deny it.
Why
you're not denying it.
Weird about it.
Just say, no, I didn't, mate.
Why are you walking away, mate? Why are you like?
You haven't finished your pint. You only just got it.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. She clears that glassware pretty quick. Smashes it. I'm not cleaning this. Smashes it.
Expensive.
Yeah, like Terence Stamp here. He could have gone a long way by just explaining himself quite clearly.
Yeah, and then Chekhov's taxi pulls up pretty quick.
Taxi,
pretty quick, way too bloody quick. Literally, explodes him like he's a like he's a balloon full of blood.
Yeah. And then the landlady runs out saying Lindsay because his name's Lindsay.
Lindsay.
And then
like a cup of tea.
Oh, he used to be a copper. He used to look after the girls or something.
Yeah, he was like an undercover vice officer, wasn't he?
Yeah, which is when we realised that he was the guy earlier in the club.
Yeah. I don't know. I just felt like it didn't have as much impact as possibly it could have done. I think if he was more prevalent in some of the earlier scenes, we would have understood. But I was a bit like, ooh, because he came at the tail end of like a really long sequence of random blokes.
Yeah, so he isn't Jackie's Lindsay. He's been custodied by the
custodied. Would you say he's poorly?
He's made reek poorly by being smashed by a. So he's poorly. He's got to get off to the hospital.
Get
himself some medicine.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna have to blow on that, kiss it, make it better.
It's got a boo-boo. So Ellie, I think, decides that she's going to leave London. I think she even gets on the phone to her grandma.
Her grand's like, "I'll come and get you today." Well, no, I'll come and get you tomorrow. Well, I can't. Come and get you today, then I'll get someone to drive me now from Cornwall.
From Cornwall in the middle of the night. Can you imagine the person who gets that? Oh, sorry, I know you from the post office, and we don't know each other very well. But can you drive me to London, get my granddaughter? Fucking hell.
Just for clarity for any of our overseas listeners, right? Cornwall, the nearest county to Cornwall is Devon, and that is a fucking massive drive. That's a big drive. Like between Cornwall and that's a big enough drive, let alone London.
Is Land's End in Cornwall?
Yeah. So literally,
it's like the very, very bottom of the country.
Yeah. So again, overseas, and I know if we're talking especially to American listeners, your country is massive. One bit of your country is bigger than an entire one. But in terms of the UK, Cornwall is real far. It's like as far southwest as you can go, and London is on the other side.
Yeah, just
left to right.
Just wait till the morning for God's sake. But she's like, no, I gotta go.
Right.
But then look,
I've got someone who can help me now. So John has a car. He offers to drive her. They're just going to go back to the house and get her stuff.
Yeah. So pretty much, she says, I'm going to go in, and if I'm longer than like 5 minutes, 15 minutes, come in and get me. She wants to try and get back some of her deposit. You bloody well hope so. She basically just put the money down for a mortgage, let alone pay like a couple of months rent.
Yeah.
So she goes back and she basically knocks on the door and says, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to leave. She goes, oh, do you want a cup of tea? I'd be like, I haven't got time. I'll make you a lovely cup of tea. No, I haven't got time.
John's waiting in the car.
Just said no. I've got a can of Coke. Yeah, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
With your it's got your name written on it.
Yeah.
And she
has a cup of tea.
And so Miss Collins basically says that a detective came by asking about Sandy's murder. So there was a detective earlier when she told the police there was a woman, and she was like, not that she believed her, but she was going to look into it a bit more because she was worried about her, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we basically get the big reveal in the form of a villain monologue, I guess. It's kind of like a villain monologue. Well, you say villain, but again,
given away by a letter, because I thought Mrs. Collins only bloody
Alexandra Collins,
aka
Sandy. Oh dear. And then basically starts explaining that, and we see a flashback to the murder, and it wasn't Jack stabbing Sandy, it was Sandy stabbing Jack in self-defense because he was threatening her with a knife. And then it just shows consequently that she lured, well, you say lured every man, but like every man that sort of paid her, or I don't even know if it was paying her. I think it was, because I think we saw money on the dresser at one point.
So every abusers that are turning up, just been stabbing them, slashing them up,
and hiding the bodies in the house, which I always feel like gonna stink. Yeah, there's got to be a better way, not just put them in the floorboards.
You know what though? Chekhov's French restaurant. They have you said, do you like garlic? That's all you'll be able to smell. So much garlic that it overpowers dead bodies.
Did we? Sorry, I just had to jump out. Someone
interesting.
Did someone mention? Did we mention the plugs earlier? She said if you have to put the plugs on in the summer because it starts to smell as well.
Yeah, of course.
All these evidences, they're all that's nice. It's good how it all syncs up. But she goes, she's told her this story. She says, "Oh, it's right, I won't tell anyone." She says, "Ah, of course you won't." She said, "No, I really won't." She said, "Oh, I know, of course you won't, because I've given you a special poison which only takes effect as the plot dictates." And then as soon as she finishes that sentence, you begin to feel the effect of the poison.
It's Bovril.
It's like, oh, beef tea.
Oh, beef bloody tea. It's not quite gravy. It's not quite tea. Ah! But then obviously she's got John waiting for her outside. He comes and knocks on the door. Miss Collins is fuming. She's like, "Oh, on your own, are you? You dirty bitch."
I made him a cup. Because at first she goes, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to stab you. I feel like you'll just die of this poison." Oh, that's comforting. Thanks.
Yeah, just quietly listening to the records. Put your head back on the sofa and have a lovely sleep. That's fine.
I'll put Scylla on.
Quite nice, really thoughtful way to kill someone.
Yeah, but obviously she opens the door to John. But then Ellie manages to stumble out. She knocks a cigarette from the ashtray into a box of records. But then John is trying to save Ellie, but then Miss Collins just shanks him right in the stomach.
Yeah.
Gets him right in the tum.
In the tum-tum.
Yeah, so
you get a weird kind of almost like a music video sequence now where Ellie has to climb up the stairs, and it turns into Anya Taylor-Joy, and they're kind of like
going up
a glass staircase, and John is still at the bottom of the stairs, like shouting for Ellie, but he's all warbled.
Yeah, he's got wibbly wobbly. He's got a poorly tummy, so he can't go upstairs.
Yeah,
that's it.
He's been stabbed. They go upstairs, and she gets into the room. Of course, because the house is now on fire because she knocked the cigarette away. John manages to get the message across that there's also a fire. But those two are too busy fighting. They get upstairs, and who should turn? We realise that the other thing that was pointed out to Ellie earlier on was that there is a phone up there that only makes emergency calls.
Yeah, who did she call?
Chekhov's emergency phone. Well, she's going to phone, I guess, the fire brigade. But who should turn up in the bedroom but all the ghoulie men?
Yeah.
All the ghoulie men in their pants and vest.
And they're like, "Help us, please."
Yeah. I'll tell you what, ghosts are so shit at getting their message across, because you know what helped them? If they wanted to say help us, just turn up really calmly and say, "Oh, help, it's actually us, the ghoulie men that have been murdered." But no, what they do is they grab her and pin her to the bed and then hold the phone up and say, "Help us, let me know."
Yeah, that's right. So what are they trying to do? Oh, so they don't want her to call the police because they were saying kill her. Like
need to bloody kill her.
Yeah.
But then it was a weird one, because it was obviously we didn't want her to kill Ellie, but at the same time we're like, I don't know. I didn't think of the ghoulie men much as victims. Obviously, no one deserves to get murdered in cold blood. Really,
what they say, right? Like when Sandy then comes in, she gives her a big old hug, kills her with kindness, and says, Oh, I don't want you to say that they like. I do believe you. They did deserve it. They were absolute rotters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Miss Collins is basically happy enough to just die, doesn't she? So she tries to slit her own throat at one point, but then
she stops her. She goes to slit her throat, and then she goes, "No, don't do that.
Life bar's only half full."
Yeah, she goes,
finish her.
Don't kill yourself in this. Don't slit your throat." And he goes, "All right, then I guess I'll just sit here and die in this fire."
Which sounds way more painful.
Way more painful. Ow! Ow! My skin's melted. Yeah, so she
burned up. If you've got any of that poison left, just have that.
Yeah. Don't know. Did the fire brigade come in as well?
Yeah. So
fire brigade
downstairs, and like the last thing you see bursting through. You saw loads of ghosts burst into the rooms and through, like walls, and now you see just a big old battering ram.
A fireman comes in, but then he falls through the floor, and then Michael Myers comes out, and he starts fucking them all up.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, they
He must have got a flight over from Haddonfield. Imagine him sat on the plane. What are you listening to? My theme? No, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say that.
That's how you trick him. What's that, Michael?
Listen.
You take that guy from the plane, that guy from the party earlier who come and take his headphones off. What he does it now.
Play nothing now. Shank him in the neck. But yeah, that's it.
We go forward, and now it's end of term. It's bring board games in day, and
Denise, fashion show. Her dresses are now not completely 60s. They've got silver bits on them, so they're kind of futuristic.
So bit of past, bit of future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then she gets the distinction with honors or something. I don't know. But she's also, her grandmother's there, and also her mother is there as well.
Ghost mum,
which promises a sequel where the mum's going to come back for revenge.
Yeah.
Let's solve another murder.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's it, right?
That's it, really. Oh, we see
there's a final vision of Sandy in the mirror, and he waves at her, blows her a kiss,
and then she boops the mirror, does like the temper test again. Good mirror.
In the credits, there's loads of photos of Soho today.
Yeah,
to kind of show the difference between the two, the past and the present, and it's cool. I would say if anyone hasn't been to Soho around London, just go walk around the old. Because if you go down certain streets, you'll see like seedy looking, I guess like there's like sex shops. I don't exactly know what they sell, but they're really strange looking. And like,
what do they sell in there?
And then there's a place next there that sells like flavored yogurt, and then there's a place that sells Thai massages, and then there's M&M.
If your tie is all knotted and you need to get it massaged.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you need to get a kale smoothie, that's probably next door. Soho's a really interesting and weird place.
Like Soho is great fun.
Yeah. So we've got some name game for you if you're ready.
Always.
Oh yes.
So the first one, we'll start easy, and then we'll get more hard as we get through.
Oh yeah.
First one is about the very last legal boxing match in Soho.
Last fight in Soho.
Last fight in Soho. Well done. And next one is about a man. He's asking you for directions to Chinatown. He asks, "Do I take the final left?" You say, "No, take the
last right in Soho."
That's correct. Well done. This next one is about Edgar Wright, the film director, and he goes for a big run across central London. Edgar Wright goes for a run across central.
Fast right in Soho.
Fast right in Soho. This one is about a constipated man who discovers laxatives.
Fast shite in Soho.
Close, but not quite there.
Close, it was right.
Close, but it's not right.
Fast shite. Is fast shite the first bit?
Close, but it's not right. Shite is right. Shite is always right.
Past shite.
Constipated man discovers laxatives. Is last shite in slow-mo.
Maybe it said Zack Snyder. He's constipated.
For fuck's sake.
Last shite in slow-mo. And the last one is a film in which a girl tries to determine the height of ship masts based on pictures alone.
Mast height in Soho? In photo! Mast height in photo!
Mast height in photo.
Yes!
Oh, you smashed it, Ben. You crushed it on that last one. I've got one for you, Luke. I've got a couple for you, Luke, if you want to play along. Some obscure ones for you then. So Ellie in this world is not a fashion student, but she's interested in media and listicle writing. And it's her final evening working at a popular YouTube channel specializing in top 10 videos and listicles.
The amount of setup it's needed.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's writing
Mojo.
Yes.
Mojo. List.
I was going to say list.
Last is fine.
Last.
So it's last night in
Mojo.
Watch Mojo.
And Watch Mojo, that's it.
Last night in Watch Mojo. And we've got another one in a massive comic crossover. Batman faces off against a grotesque X-Men villain who is into reality TV.
It's. I keep MODOK. I was going to say that's not right, is it?
No.
It's Mojo as well, isn't it?
It is Mojo.
It's Mojo as well. So it's Dark Knight in Mojo.
Yeah, Dark Knight in Mojo Vision. Yeah.
I thought MODOK for a second.
Very nice. The bad guy from Powerpuff Girls.
Mojo. Last night in Mojo Jojo.
Yeah.
Oh, that is good. Three different Mojo ones. Well done, everyone. Well done. 10 out of 10 for effort.
Cool. Now we need to rate the movie. Last Night in Soho. How do you feel about it?
Rate good?
Or rate bad?
I think I'd go quite high. I think I enjoyed this. It got a lot right. As I said, things that sort of happen in other films that this kind of like did the same, but it just felt it had a different reaction from me, just based on the directorial style and that. But yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I liked London, so it was nice to see a movie in that. I think Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie were really great. Supporting cast was great as well. I think it was a nice, cool little individual, like quite a unique film. I think had a lot going for it, and I would like to watch it again just so I can sort of pick it apart a bit more. But other than that, I think I'll go for a B+ for this one.
Nice.
I'm
just going to jump in because I'm going to go for a B+ as well. I think this is like a pretty amazing movie, really. Like the way it's put together, the ideas and the concepts, and it's quite unique and original. I just think taste-wise, it doesn't strike me as much as like Scott Pilgrim or Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz. But I can't. There's not much I can complain about the film. I think it's very, very well put together, and it was a really good time. And I didn't fall asleep past 11.
Late at night as well.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
impressive.
Go on, Andy. Where are you gonna go?
Oh, it was one of these. I came into this. We had the classic horror hangout like syndrome of. I think I was coming in gonna go for a B. Because I enjoyed it. It was, visually very stunning, visually like really well put together. Performances were really good. But then once again, talking through it and then, putting it together and getting your guys' opinions, it's probably dragged me up a little bit as well, I think. So I'm going to join you on the B+ train. B+ is all around.
I'd be curious to know what your ranking of Edgar Wright movies is.
Oh, wow.
Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim, Shaun of the Dead.
Scott Pilgrim above Shaun of the Dead. That's cool.
Yeah, I've seen it more recently. I think I really like some of the visual cues and that are just really sweet, and I like some of the throwaway lines. Those two are incredibly close, though.
Yeah.
And then proper Gilligan's Island and the rest. No, not and the rest. Maybe then this would come. Maybe this before Baby Driver because it's fresher in my mind.
Yeah.
And then we'll bottom out with The World's End. And I probably missed some from his filmography. That's just the major points.
I think that's all of his directorial credits for features.
Well,
I think
Fistful of Fingers, which is that kind of low budget thing he did. But
oh yeah.
Seen that.
Oh yeah, that's from like mid-90s. I think my ranking is exactly the same as yours, Andy, except I think I might swap round Shaun of the Dead and Scott Pilgrim. I think Shaun of the Dead second, but Hot Fuzz is probably far and away the number one for me because
Hot Fuzz gets better with every rewatch as well.
Yeah, and I find it. I quote it so much, and I think a film's really done well when you quote it. Most days, well, not most days, but a lot.
I do the same as well as Andy. I think I put Shaun of the Dead above Scott Pilgrim because Shaun of the Dead kind of holds a special place in my heart. But I would also swap World's End with Baby Driver. I would rewatch World's End before rewatching Baby Driver. I think.
No one in it is cancelled.
I probably need to see both because I think I've only seen either of them once.
World's End. Oh yeah, it's good. It is good. It's just not as.
Bit blue blood.
Yeah, I don't know.
Too many robots.
Too many robots. Way too many robots. Not enough.
There are really good gags in there, though. Like, and those films are just splendid for the gags, the kind of visual gags and stuff. Yeah, and that's it. I guess next week we're going to be talking about not Ghostbusters, Crimson Peak next week.
Crimson Peak next week.
Next week, Crimson Peak.
Who knows? We might watch it in the same place because we're at a Comic-Con this weekend.
If you're about Harrogate, come see us at Fort Bubble or Bubble even. Very many people will.
You can talk to us about horror movies even at a comic thing. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's absolutely fine. Yeah, we won't shoo you away if you start talking horror movies. Excuse me, this is comic books only. No.
Yeah. To get under the table to talk about horror movies. So thanks to our patrons. We have a few patrons: John Crillan, Against His Will, Ben Scaife, Stephen Christopher, Toby Miller, Laura Kendrick, Scott Rigby, and Pazuzu. Thanks very much. You can become a patron and get early access episodes, bonus content, and heaps of free stuff, including a chapter from the Horror Hangout book that I think got posted today or yesterday. All that is available at patreon.com/horror hangout.
Yeah. Very nice.
Thanks to Cover Back to Camera for theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Join the Facebook group, Horror Hangout Board Advisors. Thanks to my co-hosts, Ben and Andy, for being right horror dudes.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Andy. A pleasure as always.
See you guys on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Catch you in a bit.
Very exciting. See you later.
Bye.